Chapter 31-39. If the people from the Nine Blades Heavenly King residence took action, the chances of obtaining the Divine Power Source bead would be even smaller. A small chance doesn't mean it's none. If we allow the Divine Power Source bead to fall into Zhao Mo's hands, we won't stand a chance at all. Jin Xiang said coldly. Brother Wu, Brother Wei, as long as you help me block them, I'll compensate you accordingly when I obtain the Divine Power Source bead. I'll give each of you a Supreme Grade Rank 7 Divine Artifact. How about that? Zhao Mo's voice was heard again. His words made the Wu and Wei family Skypride's eyes light up. A Supreme Grade Divine Artifact was a divine artifact used by a Divine King Realm expert. A Rank 7 Divine Artifact was a high-grade Supreme Grade Divine Artifact. Not only were they rare, but their value was also shocking. Zhao Mo's offer of a Rank 7 Divine Artifact was definitely tempting. The two leaders of the Wu and Wei families looked at each other and nodded silently. They had made up their minds. Alright, I'll help Brother Zhao. Me too. The leaders of the Wu and Wei families spoke one after another. In a flash, they appeared at the edge of the valley. Since the leaders of the two families had agreed to help the Zhao family, the other Skyprides of the two families naturally had no objections and followed beside them. Boom! Boom! They unleashed their attacks and helped Zhao Mo block a portion of the attacks. Instead of continuing to fight for the Divine Power Source bead, they chose to help Zhao Mo. If they continued to fight, they might not be able to break through Zhao Mo's formation within a day. Even if they could, it would be a chaotic battle. Just like what Zhao Mo had said, their chances of obtaining the Divine Power Source bead were too small. They might as well help Zhao Mo and obtain a Supreme Grade Rank 7 Divine Artifact. Yu, Jin Xiang and the others were enraged. Since they want to help Zhao Mo, we'll kill them too. Kill. The other Skyprides attacked in anger. Some continued to attack the formation while others attacked the Skyprides of the Wu and Wei families. However, with the attack scattered, it was even harder for them to break through the Zhao family's formation. For a moment, it was a stalemate. Seeing that a day was about to pass, Jin Xiang and the others became more and more anxious. Outside the formation. Nine Blades, you tried your best to sow discord between the families of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace, but you gave us a Divine Power Source bead to create a peerless Sky Pride. Nine Extinction Heavenly King said to Nine Blades Heavenly King. Help your Nine Extinction Heavenly King mansion create a peerless genius? What a joke. Do you think the people from your Nine Extinction Heavenly King mansion can obtain the Divine Power Source Pearl? The Nine Sabers Heavenly King asked in return with a mocking smile. In that case, do you think the Divine Power Source Pearl will be taken away by the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Residence's Skypride? There was less than a day left before the 1-month deadline. Even if the Skyprides from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Residence were to make a move now, they might not be able to obtain the Divine Force Source Pearl. King Lu Wang King. TTTT Palace in of them. For some reason, the Nine Absolute Heavenly King had a bad premonition in his heart. He knew the Nine Sabers Heavenly King very well. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King would not make a move that he was not confident in. This time, he had mobilized so many people to come here. He was probably fully prepared. Within the formation, the attacks continued. However, the attacks were all blocked by the Zhao clan's formation and the geniuses of the Wu and Wei clans. There was still half a day before the 1-month deadline. The people from the Nine Blades Heavenly King Mansion are here. At this moment, someone roared. Everyone's gazes involuntarily turned in a certain direction. A group of young men and women walked in the air. Their footsteps were neither slow nor slow. They were from the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm. Previously, the Skyprides did not participate in the fight for the Divine Power Source Pearl. Now, at the last moment, the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm appeared. Zhao Mo's face changed. If the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm joined the fight, he would be in trouble. The fight is intense. However, it's over now. The Divine Power Source Pearl is the treasure of the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm. You can't take it. A Sky Pride from the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm sneered with confidence. They slowly moved toward the valley. Jin Xing, Qin Feng, let's work together. As long as you help me stop the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm, I'll give each of you a superior grade rank 7 divine weapon. Zhao Mo shouted. The Zhao family was good at formations and refining weapons. Hence, they had the most divine weapons among the other families. Jin Xiang and the others were surprised. Which is more important, the Divine Power Source Pearl or the Divine Weapon? As long as you get the Divine Power Source Pearl, you can awaken your origin-sourced secret technique. When the Great Void Imperial Family Sacred Academy convenes, you will be valued by the Sacred Emperor. Which one will you choose? So, let's break this formation first. When the time comes, whoever gets the Divine Power Source Pearl will depend on their own abilities. Everyone, what do you think? The voice of a Sky Pride from the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm spread across the place. It was very tempting. Alright, let's work together and break this formation. Jin Xiang was the first to speak. Alright, I agree. Me too. The leaders of the other major worlds agreed to work together with the Sky Prides from the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm. They would first break the formation and then compete for the Divine Power Source Pearl with their own abilities. Compared to the superior grade rank 7 divine weapon, the Divine Power Source Pearl was naturally more attractive. Although the superior grade rank 7 divine weapon was precious, it was still far from the Divine Power Source Pearl. They would rather take the risk. Very well. The Sky Pride from the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm chuckled and came out of the valley. The Sky Prides from the Wu family and Wei family looked solemn as they slowly retreated out of the valley. The Sky Prides who had joined the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm were too powerful. They could not resist at all. If they tried to stop them, they would only get themselves killed. Attack! A youth from the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm shouted coldly. Instantly, his divine power went berserk. Streaks of terrifying saber radiance shot up into the sky and blasted toward the formation in the valley. There was no lack of supreme beings who had awakened their origin source divine power in the Nine Blades Heavenly King realm. Their abilities were very shocking. At the same time, Jin Xiang and the others also attacked. A few hundred terrifying attacks blasted toward the valley. Boom! 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 The formation that the Zhao family had set up started to shake violently. Although the formation had been set up by the Sky Prides of the Zhao family in advance and had amazing defensive abilities, it could not withstand the attacks of so many Sky Prides. Crack! Crack! After a few rounds of attacks, cracks appeared on the formation. Many people's eyes lit up. The formation was about to break. They were prepared to fight for the Divine Power Source Pearl at any time. Here, the Divine Power Source Pearl. Zhao Mo gritted his teeth. Although he was reluctant, he still made the decision to throw the Divine Power Source Pearl in his hand out. If he did not throw the Divine Power Source Pearl out, he would not be able to keep it when the formation broke. By then, he and the Sky Prides of the Zhao family would all die. The Divine Power Source Pearl turned into a beam of light and flew into the distance. Chapter 3140. The Divine Force Source Bead drew an arc in the air and flew far away, attracting everyone's attention. Swoosh! 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 Suddenly, the figures stopped their attacks and rushed towards the Divine Force Source Bead. Among them, the leader of the Winged Man family was the fastest. He caught up with the Divine Force Source Bead like a bolt of lightning and grabbed it in his hand. The leader of the winged man family was overjoyed when he caught the divine force source bead. He flapped his wings and rushed forward like a bolt of lightning. With his speed, he was confident that he could shake them off. As long as he could hold on for half a day, the divine force source bead would be his. His face was filled with ecstasy. Not good. Chase! Jin Xiang and the rest shouted. Jin Xiang, the leader of the Qin family, was on good terms with the winged man family. However, he could not care less about their previous relationship and rushed towards the leader. Other Sky Prides, including the Sky Prides from the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence, also rushed towards the leader of the winged man family. Buzz buzz buzz, the leader of the winged man family was covered in lightning and turned into a bolt of lightning. His speed was much faster than the other Sky Prides. The distance between him and the other Sky Prides was getting further and further. If this continued, he could easily escape and drag on for half a day. Damn it! Many Sky Prides roared in anger. The leader of the winged man family, including the experts outside the array, were all overjoyed. However, at this moment, a terrifying saber radiance shot up into the sky. This saber radiance was extremely dazzling, like a bright moon in the sky. It flashed out and rushed towards the leader of the winged man family at an astonishing speed. Its speed was not inferior to the leader of the winged man family. Everyone's eyes narrowed. It was a white-robed youth from the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence. His expression was indifferent and his gaze was like a divine saber. Slash! The white-robed youth said softly and slashed down with the saber in his hand. Suddenly, a saber radiance burst out. It was tens of thousands of miles long and slashed towards the leader of the winged man family. In an instant, the saber radiance appeared above the leader of the winged man family and slashed down with terrifying force. The leader of the winged man family's face changed. He roared and flapped his wings. Countless lightning bolts turned into a sword and shot up into the sky, trying to block the saber radiance that was slashing towards him. However, when the saber light fell, the lightning formed by the lightning immediately collapsed. The saber light did not stop and continued to slash down. How is this possible? The leader of the winged family let out a roar of disbelief. He had never imagined that his all-out attack would actually be unable to block the other party. At the critical moment, he opened his mouth and spat out a defensive divine artifact that floated above his head. Boom! The saber light slashed onto the defensive divine artifact. The defensive divine artifact shook violently and heavily smashed onto the body of the winged clan's leader. With a miserable scream, his body fell to the ground like a meteor, smashing a huge crater in the ground. Whoosh! The white-robed young man appeared above the huge pit and looked down coldly. The leader of the winged family half-knelt on the ground, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. He looked at the white-robed youth in the sky with incomparable shock. The other Sky Prides also stopped nearby and looked at the white-robed young man in shock. Especially the prodigies of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Palace like Jin Xiang. They knew how intimidating the leader of the Wings family was. He had the first sky of King God realm and had awakened the original God power. He was an invincible character at the same level. Not many people in the first sky of King God realm could defeat him. However, the white-robed youth was able to injure his opponent in one move. What kind of strength was this? How can he be so strong? Is his cultivation base not at the first sky of King God realm? Someone whispered. They thought that the white-robed youth's cultivation base was higher than the first sky of King God realm. No, his cultivation base is still at the first sky of King God realm. First sky of King God realm? How can he be so strong? Original God power. It's because of the original God power. This person has awakened the original God power twice. What? The second awakening of God power? The Sky Prides at the scene gasped in shock. Every awakening of God power was harder and harder. The second awakening was at least 10 times harder than the first. The first awakening was already difficult enough. The second awakening was even more difficult. The white-robed youth was only at the first sky of King God realm, but he had already awakened his God power a second time. It was too terrifying. It was several times harder than the first awakening of a half-step King God realm. No wonder the white-robed youth's strength was so terrifying. The second awakening of God power was much more powerful than the first awakening. There was no comparison at all. At the same level, a person who had awakened his God power a second time could easily kill a person who had awakened his God power a first time. Outside the formation, all the experts were astonished. It's the second awakening. A first sky of King God realm can awaken his God power a second time. It's too terrifying. What a monster! Many big shots exclaimed. The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King's face was gloomy. He looked at the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King and said, "So this is why you're so confident. There's such a sky pride in the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King mansion. No one can compete with him." "Ha ha ha, thanks for the compliment." The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King laughed heartily. This time, his plan was a complete success. The divine power source bead was such a precious treasure. He had no intention of giving it to the sky prides of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King mansion. He had planned to give the divine power source bead to the white-robed youth. Holding this event was killing two birds with one stone. Firstly, it could destroy the relationship between the major families in the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King mansion and sow discord. Secondly, the divine power source bead would eventually return to the white-robed youth. It was equivalent to giving it to the white-robed youth. The other sky prides of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King mansion would have nothing to say. The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King felt even better at the thought of it. On the other hand, the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King was the opposite. His face was gloomy. He knew that he had been played by the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King. Within the formation, the white-robed youth stood high up in the sky and looked down at the leader of the winged man family. His indifferent voice was heard. "Hand over the divine power source bead or die." His tone was domineering and unquestionable. The leader of the winged man family looked ghastly. If he did not hand it over, he would definitely die. Wait a minute. The divine power source bead is now in the hands of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King mansion. Let's delay it for half a day before we discuss the distribution. We must not let the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King mansion get it. At that moment, a voice was heard. It was the leader of the Wu family. That's right. No matter what, the divine power source bead will fall into the hands of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King mansion. Zhao Mo spoke up. That's right. The other sky prides also spoke up. The leaders of the major families stepped into the air and slowly closed in on the white-robed youth. Although the white-robed youth had awakened his divine power for the second awakening and was powerful, with so many of them joining forces, they could defeat him. Chapter 31-41. The leaders of the various families in the Nine Extinction Heavenly King mansion slowly closed in on the white-robed youth. These leaders were all in the first layer Divine King realm and had awakened their origin divine force. With so many of them joining forces, they could defeat the white-robed youth. "You're courting death," the white-robed youth said coldly. His eyes were like lightning as he unsheathed his saber. A vast saber radiance slashed towards the leader of the Wu family. The saber radiance condensed like a real divine weapon. It was filled with an ancient aura. The divine force of a second awakening was extremely terrifying. The leader of the Wu family was shocked. He threw out a punch with both of his fists and countless war horses appeared in the void. The war horses stepped on the air and rushed forward. "Brother Wu, let me help you. Attack!" Beside the leader of the Wu family was the leader of the Wei family and Zhao Mo. The two of them attacked together. A total of 3 attacks blasted towards the white-robed youth. Boom! 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 The dazzling saber radiance slashed down and collided with the attacks of the 3, causing a terrifying explosion. However, even though it was 3 against 1, Zhao Mo and the other 2 were still at a disadvantage. Their attacks were constantly crushed by the saber radiance. In the end, the 3 of them retreated with pale faces. The 3 of them were extremely shocked. The strength of a second awakening was truly terrifying. Bang! The white-robed youth took a step forward and a saber radiance appeared under his feet. A terrifying saber radiance burst out and its power was like a storm. Zhao Mo and the other 2 were shocked. Let's attack together. With so many of us, I don't believe we can't defeat him. The leader of the Wu family shouted. Alright, let's attack together. The leaders of the other families spoke and unleashed a powerful aura. They approached the leader of the Wu family and Zhao Mo and the other 2, planning to attack the white-robed youth together. Why? Trying to bully us with numbers? Do you think we're decorations? At this moment, a mocking voice was heard from the other side. Then, a sharp aura rushed out and locked onto the leader of the Wu family and the others. It was the other supreme talents of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Mansion. They stepped out and forced the leader of the Wu family to attack Zhao Mo and the others. Zhao Mo and the others were shocked. There were many supreme talents of the same level as them in the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Mansion. With these people and the white-robed youth joining forces, they would definitely be defeated. For a moment, Zhao Mo and the others stood on the spot and did not dare to attack. Hand over the divine power source orb. The white-robed youth no longer paid attention to Zhao Mo and the others. His gaze once again landed on the leader of the Winged Clan. Here. The leader of the Winged Clan clenched his teeth. Although he was unwilling, he still threw the divine power source pearl towards the white-robed youth. The white-robed young man waved his hand and grabbed the divine power source bead. Many fervent gazes stared at the divine power source bead in the hands of the white-robed youth. Although they yearned for it, no one made a move. For a time, the scene was dead silent. No one made a move, and no one fought. Time passed slowly. Although the sky prides of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion desired the divine power source pearl, they understood that they were powerless to fight for it in the hands of an expert like the white-robed youth. Just like that, there were only 2 hours left before the 1-month deadline. Everyone thought that the battle for the divine power source bead would end just like that. It's a pity that the kid who ruined my plan wasn't killed. I'll find a chance to kill that kid in the future. Outside the array, 9 Sabers Heavenly King snorted coldly in his heart. His plan this time could be said to have been a perfect success. The only imperfection was that he didn't manage to kill Lu Ming. In the next moment, the 9 Sabers Heavenly King was stunned and had a strange expression on his face. That was because there were a few more figures in the image in the sky. Not far away, there were a few figures flying towards the white-robed youth. Among those figures, one of them was Lu Ming. Time's almost up. This kid actually came to die. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King's eyes lit up. Oh no! The 9 Extinction Heavenly King's heart sank. It was too dangerous for Lu Ming to come over at this time. If the sky prides of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Mansion wanted to kill him, there was no way he could run, especially when the white-robed youth was present. When the Jin clan leader, the Winged clan leader, and the Qin clan leader saw Lu Ming, their eyes flashed with murderous intent. Many people in the formation also noticed Lu Ming. It's that kid. Many sky prides of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Mansion had murderous intent in their eyes. Lu Ming. Jin Xiang, the leader of the Qin clan, had murderous intent in his eyes. Oh no! The leader of the Wu clan and some of the sky prides of the Wu clan had a change in their expression. Now that Lu Ming had appeared, it was extremely disadvantageous for him. Cold gazes fell on Lu Ming, but Lu Ming did not seem to notice them. The few young men who came with him stopped in their tracks, not daring to move forward. However, Lu Ming continued to move forward. It's really lively here. Everyone is here. Lu Ming mumbled. Then, his gaze fell on the white-robed youth's hand. To be precise, it fell on the Divine Force Source bead in his hand. Divine Force Source bead, I've come at the right time. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It's that kid. We're in luck. It's almost over, but this kid still came to us. Let's kill him and ask the Heavenly King for a reward. That's right, huh? Some of the sky prides of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King mansion wanted to attack, but someone was faster than them. Lu Ming, I've finally met you. Today, you'll definitely die. Jin Xiang roared furiously. Golden light shone from his body like a golden sun as he charged towards Lu Ming. Jin Xing and Jin Yuan of the four heroes of the Jin clan had died at the hands of Lu Ming. The Jin clan head had already given the order to kill Lu Ming at the first opportunity. When Jin Xiang saw Lu Ming, he naturally attacked without hesitation. Clang! Jin Xiang used the void-splitting sword. A golden sword radiance cut through the void and slashed towards Lu Ming. Roar! With a roar, Lu Ming transformed into a green-armored ancient god. He lashed out with his long spear and hit the golden sword radiance. The golden sword radiance suddenly vibrated violently. Jin Xiang's body shook and he retreated tens of thousands of meters. You, Jin Xiang stared at Lu Ming in horror. In the collision just now, he felt that Lu Ming's strength was unbelievably strong. A heavenly god's strength was so strong that it was far beyond his expectations. Not far away, the white-robed youth's eyes narrowed. He had always been proud of his talent. However, Lu Ming was only a heavenly god, but he had such strength. It was obvious that his talent was higher than his. He suddenly had a strong desire to kill Lu Ming. Swoosh! Swoosh! At that moment, two figures appeared beside Jin Xiang. One was the leader of the Qin clan, and the other was the leader of the Winged Man family. Although the leader of the Winged Man family had been injured by the white-robed youth, it was not fatal. He still had the strength to fight. Chapter 3142. Jin Xiang, this Lu Ming is extremely strange and powerful. I'm afraid we can't take him down alone. Let's attack together. The leader of the Winged Man clan said. He and the leader of the Qin family had fought with Lu Ming before and knew how powerful Lu Ming was. Alright, let's attack together. We must get rid of this Lu Ming. Jin Xiang gritted his teeth. Then, the three experts charged towards Lu Ming. So many people against one person, and he's a heavenly god. Don't you feel ashamed? Come on, if you want to fight, we'll fight with you. The leader of the Wu family shouted and was about to help Lu Ming. You'd better not move. Saber radiance flashed and a supreme talent from the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence locked on to the leader of the Wu family. It was good that someone wanted to kill Lu Ming, saving them the trouble. However, they would not allow others to help Lu Ming. You, the leader of the Wu family, had an ugly look on his face. Thank you for your kind intentions, but these cats and dogs can't do anything to me. Lu Ming looked at the leader of the Wu family and smiled. Jin Xiang and the others had ugly looks on their faces. Lu Ming treated them as Tom, Dick, and Harry. The Jin family head and the others outside the array also had ugly looks on their faces. If Jin Xiang and the others were cats and dogs, then what were they? This brat must die. Kill. Jin Xiang, the leader of the Qin family and the leader of the Winged Man clan, attacked together. 3 terrifying attacks blasted towards Lu Ming. Divine Dragon Image. Lu Ming let out a low growl and took a few steps forward. Many 9-clawed divine dragons roared and appeared in the air. 20 of them. 29-clawed dragon that were 10,000 meters long. Back then, when Lu Ming entered the ethereal realm of life and death, not only did he comprehend the origin source secret technique, Dominator's Gate, but he also made great progress in other divine skills and secret techniques. For example, the divine dragon image technique had improved and he could condense 29-clawed dragon at once. The 29-clawed divine dragons attacked together like a divine dragon army. Their dragon might was vast and their aura was shocking as they charged towards Jin Xiang and the other 2. Then, with a thought from Lu Ming, 9 ice chains flew out and wrapped around the 3 experts. As for Lu Ming, he cast the 9 heavens Kuan Peng technique and charged toward the golden elephant in a flash. Moon. Lu Ming held his spear and slashed downward. A crescent-shaped spear gleam slashed toward the golden elephant. Now, Lu Ming's comprehension of the 3 destructive strikes had reached the limit of the 8th level. He was only a step away from the 9th level and his power was stronger than before. In an instant, 2 9-clawed heavenly martial heavenly divine skill Jiang Xian divine skill can't believe he uses his divine powers his. The others were dumbfounded. This kind of storm-like attack consumed a lot of divine power. Even if the others had mastered many secret skills, they would not dare to use them all at once like Lu Ming. His godly power could not hold on any longer. However, Lu Ming had the quantifying character formula and was not worried about this at all. The leaders of the Winged Clan and the Qin clan were blocked by the ice chains and the divine dragon Dharma idol. Lu Ming, on the other hand, focused on the golden elephant. The light of the spear came down and clashed with Jin Xiang's sword of the void. Just like last time, the golden elephant's body shook violently, and it retreated repeatedly. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and used his strongest move, Star Burst. A huge spear light rushed towards the golden elephant. The golden elephant's pupils contracted as it felt a fatal threat. Lu Ming's move could pose a threat to him. Boom! Jin Xiang roared and unleashed his full power. His body seemed to have turned completely golden, like a golden statue. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, he held the golden battle sword in his hand and slashed out hundreds of times in an instant. He laid out a heavy sword net around his body, trying to block Lu Ming's move. However, Lu Ming's trump card was more than that. Extreme Yin Pupil. Lu Ming shouted. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes turned snow-white. Lu Ming finally used the secret skill, Yin-Yang God Eye. However, Lu Ming did not use the complete Yin-Yang God Eye. He only used the extreme Yin Pupil. The complete Yin-Yang God Eye was too draining for him. However, even the extreme Yin Pupil was very powerful. A whirlpool suddenly appeared above the golden elephant's head. A terrifying cold force enveloped the golden elephant. The golden elephant's expression changed drastically. In an instant, he felt his entire body freeze. His muscles, bones, blood, and even his soul were all frozen. The terrifying cold force was about to freeze him to death. He tried his best to resist, but it was to no avail. The cold force was too terrifying. Not only was it cold, but it also had a corrosive force. Boom! Lu Ming's move, Supernova, burst out with a destructive force and defeated the golden elephant's sword light. Whoosh! Lu Ming held his spear and pierced toward the golden elephant's glabella. No! No! One was the golden elephant's own roar. He was extremely terrified. The other was the roar of the head of the Jin family. However, no matter how much they roared, they could not change the reality. Puff! Lu Ming's long spear pierced through the golden elephant's forehead. The destructive force obliterated the golden elephant's soul. The golden elephant was dead. At this point, 3 of the 4 heroes of the Jin family had died in the hands of Lu Ming. No, no, outside the formation, the head of the Jin family let out an angry roar. His eyes were blood-red and his killing intent was as cold as a knife. The other experts of the Jin family were not much better. They all stared at Lu Ming in the picture with ferocious eyes, wishing they could grind Lu Ming's bones into ashes. The 4 heroes of the Jin family were the 4 most outstanding geniuses of the younger generation of the Jin family. The Jin family's current generation could be said to be glorious. They had 4 peerless geniuses. They thought that the Jin family would become stronger in the future. But now, 3 of the 4 heroes had died. Moreover, they were killed by one person. One could imagine how they felt. The people of the other families were gloating. The weaker the Jin family was, the happier they would be. Oh no, retreat. Seeing that the golden elephant was killed, the leaders of the Wing family and the Qin family were shocked and frantically retreated far away from Lu Ming. Their eyes were filled with fear. The 3 of them joined forces to fight Lu Ming, but one of them was killed in an instant. This almost scared them out of their wits. Lu Ming's strength was stronger than the last time he fought with them. So strong? At the scene, all the geniuses were in disbelief. Lu Ming was only a divine realm expert. Such strength was too demonic. In particular, some of the geniuses of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Mansion narrowed their eyes, especially those who had participated in the siege of Lu Ming. Their faces were even more solemn. If they had gone up just now, one of them might have died. Do you think it's that easy to attack and retreat? Lu Ming shouted coldly and performed the Garuda technique. The Garuda flapped its wings and rushed toward the leader of the Qin family. Chapter 31-43. The leader of the Winged Man family and the Qin family had teamed up with the Sky Pride of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King residents to kill him. If Lu Ming hadn't entered the spirit of life and death state at the crucial moment and comprehended the gate of domination, the outcome would have been unpredictable. Just now, the other party had teamed up with the Golden Elephant to kill him. How could Lu Ming let them off? The leader of the Winged Man family was too fast. He charged towards the leader of the Qin family first. Lu Ming's speed was slightly faster than the leader of the Qin family. The distance between the 2 parties was quickly closing. Not good. Brother Yi, come and help me. The leader of the Qin family shouted and asked for help from the leader of the Winged Man family. However, the leader of the Winged Man family didn't dare to fight with Lu Ming. He sped up and fled into the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The other Sky Prides of the Winged Man family also fled. Damn it! The leader of the Qin family roared and charged towards the other Sky Prides of the Qin family. Quick, attack with me and stop this person. Time is almost up. Once the time is up, it will be the time of his death. There were quite a number of Sky Prides of the Qin family that had entered this place. There were more than 20 of them. However, these Sky Prides of the Qin family looked at each other and retreated at full speed. If Lu Ming could easily kill the Golden Elephant, it would be even easier for him to kill them. How would they dare to help the leader of the Qin family? At this moment, it didn't matter if you were a leader or not. It was more important to stay alive. You, the leader of the Qin family, roared in fear. However, Lu Ming had already caught up to him. Roar! A group of 9-clawed dragon charged towards the leader of the Qin family. Lu Ming's current cultivation level was still low. Perhaps the power of a single 9-clawed divine dragon was limited. However, if 29-clawed divine dragons attacked at the same time without any regard for their lives, the power would be extremely shocking. Coupled with the attack of the 9 ice chains, the leader of the Qin family was a little flustered. Extreme Enai. Lu Ming muttered. A whirlpool appeared above the leader of the Qin family and spun crazily. Then, waves of extreme cold energy surged towards the leader of the Qin family. No! 7 injuries Divine Fist. Block it! The leader of the Qin family yelled. He used his divine power to injure himself and increase the power of the 7 wound Divine Fists. He kept throwing out punches, trying to block the cold power of the extreme Yin pupil. As expected, the power of the extreme Yin pupil was temporarily blocked by the terrifying power of the fist. However, Lu Ming's follow-up attack arrived. Supernova. A cold voice rang out, as if it was a death sentence. Boom! A terrifying spear light burst out and bombarded the body of the Qin clan's leader. The Qin clan's leader's body trembled violently and flew out horizontally, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. This time, he was prepared and was not killed in one move like the golden elephant. However, he was still no match for Lu Ming and was severely injured. The Qin clan youth rushed to the 9 Blades Heavenly King residence's side in fear and shouted, "Didn't you want to kill this brat? Attack! Attack! This guy is too much of a freak. If he kills us, he'll kill you too." At that moment, the Qin clan geniuses could only place their hopes on the 9 Blades Heavenly King residence. Indeed, this brat is too much of a freak. Let's attack together and kill him. A cold voice rang out. It was Duanjiang. Duanjiang did not manage to kill Lu Ming the last time. Now that he realized that Lu Ming's strength had increased, he was terrified and could not wait to kill Lu Ming. Alright, let's attack together. The other geniuses of the 9 Blades Heavenly King residence also spoke. Suddenly, 7 to 8 terrifying auras burst out and surged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming brandished his spear and swept it out, dispersing the aura. However, his figure was also blocked. The leader of the Qin clan took the opportunity to rush behind the geniuses of the 9 Blades Heavenly King residence. He heaved a long sigh of relief and relaxed. He finally managed to survive. Lu Ming, after you die, I'll feed your corpse to the wild dogs. The leader of the Qin clan glared viciously at Lu Ming. He hated Lu Ming to the core. Everyone outside could see what had happened. He was in too much of a mess just now. If you're capable, fight one-on-one. Now that you want to bully him with numbers, have you asked for our permission? The leader of the Wu clan roared. Together with Zhao Mo and the other leaders of the Qin clan, they came to Lu Ming's side. Powerful auras surged toward the people of the 9 Blades Heavenly King residence. Do you think you can fight us with the 3 of you? You're overestimating yourselves. Duanjiang sneered. Everyone, are you just going to watch and not attack? If we join forces, we might not be afraid of them. The leader of the Wu clan looked at the geniuses of the other families. Apart from the Jin clan, the Qin clan, and the Winged clan, there were a few other families that had geniuses who were not weaker than them. The leader of the Wu clan wanted them to attack together. However, those geniuses glanced at the white-robed young man from the 9 Blades Heavenly King residence with fear. They were afraid of the white-robed young man. Of course, Lu Ming saw this scene. Everyone, if he attacks, why don't you leave it to me? Lu Ming pointed at the white-robed young man. Leave it to you? Everyone was stunned. Although Lu Ming was strong, the white-robed young man was a terrifying existence who had awakened his divine power a second time. It would be easy for him to kill Jin Xiang. However, although Lu Ming had killed Jin Xiang, it was not that easy. Lu Ming could fight with the white-robed young man. Lu Ming, this person has awakened his divine power factor a second time. One of the geniuses reminded. So he has awakened his divine power factor a second time. No wonder. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. No wonder when he saw this person holding the divine power source bead in his hand, no one went up to snatch it. It turned out that he had awakened his divine power factor a second time, which shocked everyone. Interesting. Leave him to me. Lu Ming added. Not only did it shock the others, but the white-robed young man's eyes also shone with radiance. Everyone, the Nine Blades Heavenly King Residence's purpose this time is simple. They took out the divine power source bead and let the geniuses of the Nine Blades Heavenly King Residence kill each other. They will stir up conflicts between the various families and weaken our strength. They will then take advantage of the situation. Lu Ming continued. He knew that the Nine Blades Heavenly King had bribed family head Sikong, so it was easy for him to guess the Nine Blades Heavenly King's purpose this time. Many people's eyes flashed. They knew that Lu Ming was right. That was the truth. Outside the formation, the Nine Blades Heavenly King sneered. It was an open conspiracy, and it was not difficult for others to guess his purpose. However, the various families had killed each other, and many geniuses had died. The conflicts were deep. Even if they understood his plan, the conflicts would not be resolved. That was the power of his plan. Even if others knew about it, his plan could still be realized. Also, in the Nine Blades Heavenly King Residence, there is someone who has awakened his divine power factor a second time. Obviously, the other party knows that the divine power source bead will be taken by him. The Nine Blades Heavenly King does not want the divine power source bead to be taken by us. They have been playing with us since the beginning. However, I will not do as he wishes. The divine power source bead cannot fall into the hands of the other party. Everyone, let's work together. You help me block these people, and I will take the divine power source bead. How about that? Lu Ming's voice resounded throughout the entire place. Chapter 3144. Lu Ming's words made many of the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion Skypride stare coldly. After Lu Ming's reminder, they understood. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King Mansion had been toying with them since the beginning. They had an expert like the young man in the white robe. Who could compete with him for the divine power source bead? It was no wonder that the Skyprides of the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Mansion did not intervene in the fight for the divine power source bead and let the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion kill each other. In the end, the divine power source bead would still fall into the hands of the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Mansion. They were being toyed with like a bunch of clowns. Many of them were enraged. Lu Ming, I'll fight with you. No matter who gets the divine power source bead, it can't fall into the hands of the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Mansion. The leader of the Wu family was the first to shout. Then, Zhao Mo and the leader of the other families followed suit. Bam! 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 Then, a few young men stepped out and walked side by side with Lu Ming, emitting powerful auras. Alright, let's join forces. The few young men spoke one after another. They were the leaders of the other families. These people were different from Jin Xiang and the rest. They had no grudges against Lu Ming. Now that they were persuaded by Lu Ming, they decided to join forces. However, that person is extremely powerful. Are you confident? A young man asked Lu Ming. The person he was referring to was the young man in the white robe. Leave it to me. Lu Ming smiled and took a step forward, heading toward the young man in the white robe. Zhao Mo, the leader of the Wu family, and the rest stood in front of the Skyprides of the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Mansion so that they could not interfere with Lu Ming. At that moment, everyone was watching. The young Skyprides in the formation and the experts outside the formation were all looking at Lu Ming and the young man in the white robe. Seeing Lu Ming walking toward him, the young man in the white robe was surprised. He did not expect that Lu Ming would dare to challenge him alone. Interesting. The young man in the white robe spoke. Saber radiance was swallowing and his aura was intimidating. It won't be interesting later. Lu Ming smiled faintly. A 7th-level celestial god with your strength is rare in this world. However, you are so arrogant that you think you can fight me. You are overconfident. The white-robed young man said. We'll know after the battle. Lu Ming's answer was simple. Very good. Remember, the one who defeated you is Yuan Yu. After the white-robed young man finished speaking, he waved his hand, and the divine power source bead flew into the sky and floated there. However, no one dared to fight for it. Boom! After Yuan Yu threw out the divine power source bead, an astonishing aura erupted from his body. A transparent saber shadow burst out from Yuan Yu's body and soared into the sky, piercing through the depths of the firmament. Come on! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. His body, which was hundreds of meters tall, was covered with divine power and filled with dazzling light. Roar! Roar! There were waves of dragon roars and 9-clawed divine dragons condensed continuously above Lu Ming's head. A total of 29-clawed dragons appeared at the same time. The scene was astonishing. Kill! Lu Ming roared and took a step forward. The 29-clawed dragons charged towards Yuan Yu. Then, 9 ice chains flew out and wrapped around Yuan Yu. Petty tricks. Break for me! Yuan Yu shouted coldly as he unsheathed his saber and slashed out. The shadow of the saber above his head merged with the saber in his hand and slashed out a saber light that was over 10,000 miles long. As the saber light slashed down, it was as if it had split the heavens and earth. The saber light brought along an endless wave of energy as it swept towards Lu Ming. The endless wave of energy bombarded the 9-clawed dragon. The 9-clawed dragon shook violently and exploded one after another. Boom! Boom! Terrifying explosions rang out. The 29-clawed dragons were all destroyed in a breath's time. Then, it was the ice chains. Even with the sturdiness of the ice chains, it was difficult to withstand the power of Yuan Yu's saber light. After a slight resistance, all of them exploded. Supernova. At this moment, Lu Ming unleashed his full strength and performed the move Supernova. A mountain-like spear light bombarded the saber light. As soon as the spear light hit the saber light, it exploded and turned into an endless destructive power that swept out. However, when the saber light slashed down, the destructive power was directly neutralized. A majestic force rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body shook violently as he retreated 1,000 miles. His qi and blood were in turmoil as a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Lu Ming was injured. The sky prides on the 9 extinction Heavenly King palaces side all revealed worried looks. Lu Ming was no match for Yuan Yu. If Yuan Yu defeated Lu Ming, then they could only run. He overestimates himself. He wants to fight Yuan Yu with just him? What a fool's dream. Duanjiang sneered disdainfully. Outside the formation, the 9 sabers Heavenly King also revealed a smile. What a powerful force. Is this the second awakening of the divine power of origin? Lu Ming muttered under his breath. The second awakening of the divine power of origin made divine power become even more terrifying, the power boundless. This kind of divine power, even without casting divine techniques or secret arts, just the divine power alone was boundless power. The destructive power was shockingly strong, able to destroy everything. Just now, Yuan Yu's saber directly broke through Lu Ming's various means, domineering and overbearing. Just this bit of strength, then go to hell, Universe Saber. Yuan Yu gave a cold cry, holding the saber with both hands, suddenly slashing out a saber. Swoosh! A silver-white saber light was boundlessly terrifying, slashing towards Lu Ming with peerless speed. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to feel the space around him being squeezed, making him want to dodge, but his speed would become much slower. Facing this saber, he could only take it head-on. Try the power of the Gate of Sovereigns. Lu Ming's eyes revealed a look of anticipation. He originally did not want to expose the Gate of Sovereigns. But clearly, if he did not cast the Gate of Sovereigns now, he was still not the other party's match. Gate of Sovereigns, come out. Lu Ming gave a low cry. As he circulated his divine power, an ancient stone door appeared above his head. Now, Lu Ming's Gate of Sovereigns was already quite proficient. The Gate of Sovereigns was very solid, like an ancient door that traversed time and space. Once the Gate of Sovereigns appeared, it emitted a shocking wave of energy. Suppress for me. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the Gate of Sovereigns flew out, tens of thousands of feet tall, emitting a purple-gold radiance, and collided with Yuan Yu's saber light. Boom! In an instant, the silver-white saber light slashed the Gate of Sovereigns. The two shook violently, triggering an endless wave of energy that swept in all directions. Boom! Then, the silver-white saber light shattered, and the Gate of Sovereigns was sent flying back. How is this possible? Yuan Yu shouted in shock. He had used almost all his strength in that move just now. He had wanted to kill Lu Ming in one move, but he did not expect that Lu Ming would block it, and Lu Ming was completely fine. He was not the only one. Everyone else who saw this scene was a little dumbfounded. It turns out that Lu Ming still has a trump card. Many people whispered, and even more people were shocked. Lu Ming's many tricks were really shocking. Chapter 31:45. Again. Lu Ming shouted. He stepped into the air and charged towards Yuan Yu. The Gate of Domination followed closely behind Lu Ming, emitting a bright light as it continued to attack Yuan Yu. Break! Yuan Yu shouted. The saber in his hand floated in the air while his hands kept forming seals. Buzz! The saber vibrated, and the saber light shot into the sky. Then, it flew out and slashed at the Gate of Domination. This was a saber manipulation technique. Its attack power was shocking. Clang! The saber slashed at the Gate of Domination. There was a sound of metal clashing, and sparks flew. However, the Gate of Domination was unscathed. Instead, the saber was sent flying. After the saber was sent flying, it turned and swept past the Gate of Domination, charging towards Lu Ming. He wanted to sweep past the Gate of Domination and kill Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming had expected this move. The Gate of Domination flashed and returned to Lu Ming's head at an astonishing speed. It continued to attack the saber. Clang! The saber was sent flying again. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, then, there was a whoosh from the Gate of Domination. A terrifying suction force burst out. The Gate of Domination only had a door frame. It was made of stone, and there was nothing in the middle. It was pitch black. At this moment, the pitch-black space started to spin like a black hole. The terrifying suction force immediately enveloped the saber. The saber buzzed and vibrated, but it was stopped by the suction force and could not move. Boom! Then, the Gate of Domination attacked Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu's expression changed. He had lost his saber. He quickly took out another saber from his storage ring and slashed out. The saber light slashed at the Gate of Domination. The Gate of Domination only shook a little, but the saber light shattered. Lu Ming continued to control the Gate of Domination to attack Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu could only do his best to resist. The two of them were fighting each other head-on. They kept colliding, and energy overflowed. However, in terms of attack power, the two of them were on par. However, the Gate of Domination continued to release that kind of attractive force, which severely affected Yuan Yu's performance. He needed to use his God force to resist this attractive force. Thus, after a dozen or so exchanges, Yuan Yu was already at a disadvantage. Yuan Yu was slowly losing ground. He retreated repeatedly, and his body trembled slightly. Clearly, he was enduring an extremely great pressure. Everyone who saw this scene couldn't help but widen their eyes. Yuan Yu was actually losing. Lu Ming's combat strength was also too horrifying. 7th level celestial deity, how could he have such battle prowess? Origin secret technique. This is an origin secret technique. Outside the array, the 9 sabers heavenly king roared in disbelief. The 9 sabers heavenly king had roamed the starry skies for countless years and had seen all sorts of storms and waves. But at this moment, he found it hard to suppress the fluctuations in his heart and completely lost his composure. He could already tell that Lu Ming was using an origin secret technique. Last time, Lu Ming was besieged by Duan Jiang and the others. He fell into a state of emptiness of life and death, and comprehended the origin secret technique. However, at that time, the gate of domination had just been comprehended and was faintly discernible. After one strike, it dissipated. Therefore, the 9 sabers heavenly king and the others didn't recognize that it was an origin secret technique. But now that Lu Ming kept attacking, the 9 sabers heavenly king naturally recognized it. What? Origin secret technique? Oh my God! Hearing the 9 sabers heavenly king's words, many people exclaimed in disbelief. This time, so many sky prides had entered the array and fought to the death. What was it for? It was to fight for the divine power source bead and awaken the origin secret technique. One could imagine how difficult it was to awaken the origin secret technique. Yuan Yu was a genius. He had awakened his divine power source factor a second time at the 1st level celestial king realm. He was extremely talented, but he still had a long way to go before he could awaken the origin secret technique. He wanted to obtain the divine power source bead to awaken the origin secret technique. But now, Lu Ming did not do anything and he actually awakened the secret skill of the origin. A 7th level celestial god not only awakened the divine power source factor, but also the origin secret technique. This could no longer be described as monstrous. It was simply abnormal, a monster, a miracle. The shock of these people could be imagined. Ha ha ha, great! The 9 sabers heavenly king was also shocked at first, but he quickly reacted and laughed. The 9 sabers heavenly king palace actually produced such a sky pride this time. He would definitely shine during the Great Void imperial family's sacred courtyard and even be valued by the sacred emperor. As for the Jin family, the Winged Man family, and the Qin family, the masters and experts of the 3 families, their faces were extremely ugly. Many sky prides of the 3 families had died in the hands of Lu Ming. It could be said that they wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. The stronger Lu Ming was, the more worried they were. We must find a way to get rid of this kid. Such thoughts flashed through the minds of the masters of the families. Inside the formation, the battle continued. Lu Ming and Yuan Yu fought for more than 10 moves. Yuan Yu finally couldn't take it anymore and his battle saber was sent flying. Under the violent pressure of the gate of domination, Yuan Yu's body shook violently and flew out like a cannonball, coughing up blood. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and continued to control the gate of domination to bombard Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu roared, his palm like a saber, bursting out rays of saber light, blasting towards the gate of domination. However, his injured body in his palms alone couldn't withstand the gate of domination. After a loud bang, Yuan Yu screamed, his body flying out horizontally, blood spurting out of his mouth. His palms exploded, flesh and blood flying everywhere. It was a tragic sight. Lu Ming, I'll remember what happened today. Next time, I'll pay you back 10 times. Yuan Yu roared, then turned into a ray of saber light and flew away at an astonishing speed. After a few flashes, Yuan Yu's figure disappeared without a trace. Yuan Yu had actually fled directly. Lu Ming didn't chase after him. In fact, he didn't have the ability to do so now. After all, he had just comprehended the gate of domination not long ago. After the battle with Yuan Yu, he felt like he couldn't control it anymore. If Yuan Yu could hold on a little longer, he would be the one to lose. Circulating his god force, the gate of domination above Lu Ming's head disappeared. Lu Ming took a step forward, appearing high in the sky and grabbing the divine force source bead in his hand. Then, Lu Ming wanted to put the divine force source bead into his storage ring, but he was stunned. He didn't expect that the divine force source bead couldn't be put into a storage ring. How is this possible? How is this possible? The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence's sky prides were shocked beyond words. Yuan Yu was defeated by Lu Ming. They didn't expect this to happen even in their wildest dreams. On the other hand, Zhao Mo, the Wu clan's leader, and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They were well aware of how strong Yuan Yu was. Previously, Yuan Yu had easily crushed the leader of the Winged Man clan, but Lu Ming was able to defeat Yuan Yu. Didn't that mean that Lu Ming's strength could easily crush them too? A 7th-layer Heavenly God Realm cultivator could easily crush them. If someone had said this to them before, they would have scoffed. Chapter 3146. Lu Ming looked at the sky prides from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence. The sky prides from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence were shocked. At this moment, they did not even have the thought of fighting, let alone snatching the divine power source pearl. If Lu Ming teamed up with the people from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence, they would be in danger. Bam! Lu Ming stepped out. The void vibrated, and the people from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence were shocked. Lu Ming, we can choose not to compete with you for the divine power source pearl, but don't cross the line. Duanjiang shouted. Cross the line? Why didn't you cross the line when the few of you tried to kill me? I have a strong point, and that is that I'm a vengeful person. Lu Ming sneered, and his footsteps quickened as he walked toward Duanjiang. Let's attack together. Let's attack together. I don't believe that we can't defeat him with so many of us. Duanjiang shouted, trying to instigate the sky prides from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence to attack together. However, this time, the sky prides from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence had a glimmer in their eyes. Lu Ming was too strong. Together with the sky prides from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence, they would definitely lose if they fought. We can't be reckless now. Let's retreat first and find another chance to kill him in the future. That's right. The sky prides from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence whispered and retreated. Duanjiang was shocked, and could only retreat with the sky prides from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence. However, Lu Ming moved and chased after them. You can leave, but he has to stay. Lu Ming pointed at the leader of the Qin family and said coldly. The leader of the Qin family had been severely injured by Lu Ming and had been hiding behind the sky prides from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence. Now, he wanted to retreat with the people from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence. Don't agree with him. Save me, the leader of the Qin family was shocked and shouted immediately. This is an internal matter of Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence. It has nothing to do with us. That's right. Settle your own matters. Shouted the people from Nine Sabers' Heavenly King Residence. They could not wait for Lu Ming to not attack them. As for the matter of the Qin clan's leader, what did it have to do with them? They couldn't wait for the Nine Absolute Heavenly King Palace to kill each other. The people from the Nine Blades Heavenly King Residence quickly retreated. No, save me. The leader of the Qin clan shouted, wanting to follow the people of the Nine Blades Heavenly King Residence. Scram! A sky pride from the Nine Sabers Heavenly King Residence shouted coldly and slashed at the leader of the Qin clan, forcing him to retreat. At this time, Lu Ming had already caught up. Kill! Lu Ming coldly shouted. The huge spear light was like a mountain pressing down on the Qin clan's leader. The Qin clan's leader had yet to recover from his injuries, so he couldn't block Lu Ming's attack at all. He was blasted to the ground in one move. Extreme Yin Vision. Lu Ming spoke in a low voice. A vortex appeared, spewing out a terrifying coldness that froze the leader of the Qin clan. After that, Lu Ming rushed over and killed the leader of the Qin clan. Damn it! Outside the array, the patriarch of the Qin family and the experts of the Qin family shouted angrily with bloodshot eyes. A top-notch Sky Pride had been killed, and they were heartbroken. At this time, the Sky Pride from the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence had already retreated far away. Lu Ming didn't chase after him. He originally wanted to kill Duan Jiang, but at this time, he didn't have the strength to do so. Using the Gate of Domination had consumed too much of his energy. It was beyond his expectations. Generally speaking, those who could comprehend the Origin secret technique were geniuses among geniuses. Moreover, they had to be at least in the Divine King realm to be able to comprehend it. Therefore, to use the Origin secret technique, one would need a terrifying amount of divine energy. Originally, with Lu Ming's cultivation of the 7th level Heavenly God realm and his abundant divine energy, he wouldn't be able to use it at all, let alone exchange so many moves. Lu Ming purely relied on the quantifying character formula. He had stored a large amount of divine energy in the quantifying character formula in advance so that he could use it. However, during this period of continuous battles, in addition to using the Gate of Domination, he had consumed too much divine energy. He realized that the divine energy he had stored in the quantifying character formula had been used up. Therefore, Lu Ming was actually an empty shell now. If Yuan Yu had held on for a while longer, or if the Nine Blades Heavenly King Mansion's prodigies were not afraid of death and fought with Lu Ming would have been exposed immediately. However, Lu Ming's previous performance was too shocking. No matter how bold the Nine Blades Heavenly King Mansion's prodigies were, they wouldn't dare to fight with Lu Ming. After killing the Qin clan's leading figure, Lu Ming held the Divine Power Source bead and stood in the air. He kept using the Universe Myriad Dao technique to recover his divine energy as he waited. Although the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion's prodigies looked at the Divine Power Source bead in Lu Ming's hand with burning eyes, they didn't dare to go up and fight with Lu Ming for the Divine Power Source bead. Jin Xiang and the Qin clan's leading figure were examples. Therefore, the scene fell into silence. Time passed quickly. Soon, a month's time was about to arrive. Looks like the Divine Power Source bead will belong to Lu Ming. 9 Blades, your plan this time has failed. The 9 Extinction Heavenly King laughed. This time, although the conflicts between the major families had deepened, at least the Divine Power Source bead fell into Lu Ming's hands, and they wouldn't lose so badly. Humph. The 9 Blades Heavenly King snorted coldly as he looked at Lu Ming in the image. His eyes were extremely gloomy. His original plan was very good. This time, not only would the conflict between the major families in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion deepen, but the Divine Power Source bead would also fall into Yuan Yu's hands in the end, helping him awaken the Origin Source secret technique. With Yuan Yu's talent and the awakening of the Origin Source secret technique, he would definitely be able to shine when the Great Void Imperial Family Sacred Courtyard was held. Unexpectedly, Lu Ming appeared out of nowhere and snatched the Divine Power Origin bead away. This made him extremely unhappy, and killing intent flashed in his eyes. 9 Blades, the time has come. Open the formation. The 9 Extinction Heavenly King's voice sounded. A month's time was up. The 9 Blades Heavenly King waved his hand, and the image in the air disappeared. Then, he formed a seal with both hands, and runes flew out and disappeared into the formation. The light of the formation dimmed, and the light shield that covered the ground disappeared without a trace. The formation was closed. As soon as the formation was closed, everyone in the formation sensed it. Immediately, streaks of rainbow light soared into the sky and flew towards them. The first to fly over were some of the sky prides of the Nine Blades Heavenly King mansion, and Yuan Yu was among them. Heavenly King, I did not complete the mission this time. Please punish me. Yuan Yu and the other sky prides of the Nine Blades Heavenly King mansion lowered their heads and apologized. Forget it. The Nine Blades Heavenly King waved his hand. In front, people kept flying over. Zhao Mo, the leader of the Wu family, and of course, Lu Ming. As soon as Lu Ming flew over, he became the center of attention. Everyone's eyes fell on him and the divine power source bead in his hand. Little guy, you're good. The Nine Blades Heavenly King's gaze also fell on Lu Ming, and it was extremely cold. Lu Ming felt like he was being stared at by a terrifying beast, and his hair stood on end. Thank you for the compliment, Nine Blades Heavenly King. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, neither servile nor overbearing. Chapter 31-47. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King sneered and said, Kid, the Divine Power Source Pearl is still useful to me. How about this, name a price and sell it to me. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King actually wanted to buy the Divine Power Source Pearl. I'm sorry, I don't want to sell it. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. Not for sale. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King's eyes narrowed as he said, You are rejecting me. His voice was cold as he looked down at Lu Ming with a condescending attitude. Under normal circumstances, with his status, other juniors would not dare to reject him, but Lu Ming did. I said I'm not selling. Don't you understand? Lu Ming's temper rose. No matter who it was, his tone was not pleasant. Many people's hearts beat wildly. Lu Ming dared to speak to the Nine Sabers Heavenly King in such a tone. Hee, the newborn calf is not afraid of the tiger. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King chuckled, and everyone could hear the cold murderous intent in his voice. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King was furious. Nine Sabers, if others don't want to sell it to you, are you going to force them to sell it to you? As a Heavenly King, aren't you afraid of being laughed at? The Nine Sabers Heavenly King said as he moved his body slightly, faintly blocking Lu Ming to prevent the Nine Sabers Heavenly King from attacking. Good, very good. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King said coldly, then glanced at Lu Ming and said, The day of the Taishu Imperial family's holy courtyard is coming soon. At that time, let's meet at the holy courtyard of the Taishu Imperial family. At that time, I'll let you see the real geniuses of the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence. If there's nothing else, please leave. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King waved his hand and ordered them to leave. Let's go. The Nine Sabers Heavenly King did not stay. With a wave of his hand, a divine power enveloped the geniuses of the Nine Sabers Heavenly King residence. He then soared into the sky and left. Alright, today's matter is over. However, I'll tell you that the Divine Power Source Pearl is obtained by Lu Ming and belongs to him. If anyone else dares to use unusual means to seize the Divine Power Source Pearl, don't blame me for being rude. Then, the Nine Extinction Heavenly King's gaze swept across everyone present and warned. Many people were shocked. Indeed, there were many people who were thinking about the Divine Power Source bead. They were thinking of ways to snatch the Divine Power Source bead from Lu Ming's hands. Now that they heard the Nine Extinction Heavenly King say so, many people dispelled the thought in their hearts. In the Nine Absolute Heavenly King manner, no one could withstand the wrath of the Nine Absolute Heavenly King. Lu Ming, give me the Divine Power Source Orb. I'll help you break the seal on it so that you can keep it. Following that, the Nine Extinction Heavenly King said to Lu Ming. Thank you, Heavenly King. Lu Ming bowed and thanked him. Then, he handed the Divine Power Source Pearl to the Nine Extremes Heavenly King. He was not worried about the Nine Extremes Heavenly King. If the Nine Extremes Heavenly King wanted the Divine Power Source Pearl, he would not be able to keep it. The 9 Extremes Heavenly King took the Divine Power Source bead and used his divine power to erase the seal on it before returning it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took the Divine Power Source bead. With a thought, he kept the Divine Power Source bead in his storage ring. Lu Ming was overjoyed. This was much more convenient. Otherwise, it would be too troublesome to hold the Divine Power Source bead every day. Alright, go back. There are less than 200 years before the opening of the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court. This is a great opportunity for you. Once you can enter the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court, not only will you be able to enjoy the top cultivation resources, but it will also be the foundation for your meteoric rise. When the time comes, you will establish an army. It's not impossible to become the new Heavenly King Manor in the future. So, during this period, you have to work hard to cultivate and improve yourselves. The 9 Extremes Heavenly King's voice sounded. Yes, Heavenly King. Many people shouted. Especially the younger generation of Sky Prides, they were looking forward to it. The Starry Camp was just the foundation. Only by joining the Starry Camp would one be qualified to participate in the selection of the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court. Otherwise, one would not even be qualified to participate. Their ultimate goal was to enter the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court. That was where all the Sky Prides of the Taishu dynasty gathered. Throughout history, 90% of the powerful figures that appeared in the Taishu dynasty came from the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court. In the past, the 9 Sabers Heavenly King residents and the 9 Ju Heavenly King residents had joined the Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court and cultivated there. The Taishu Imperial Family Holy Court was the goal of all the Sky Prides of the Taishu dynasty. Alright, let's go back. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King waved his hand and the crowd dispersed. Among them, Lu Ming had the Divine Power Source Pearl. The 9 Sabers Heavenly King had specially sent an expert to send Lu Ming back to the Starry Camp. The Starry Camp was guarded by experts from the 9 Sabers Heavenly King residents. There was no need to worry about being targeted. After returning to the Starry Camp, Lu Ming immediately went into seclusion. He took out a large number of divine gems and devoured them to recover his divine power. When Lu Ming's divine power was almost fully recovered, Lu Ming received a message from Blue Merchant. It seems like Uncle Lan Shu knows the result of the competition for the Divine Power Source Pearl. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He then flew towards Blue Merchant's residence. When Lu Ming arrived at Blue Merchant's residence, he did not see Lan Ling has been in seclusion to break through to the Divine King realm. She should be able to reach the Divine King realm by the time she comes out. Blue Merchant appeared and said with a smile. Uncle Lan Shu, why are you looking for me? Lu Ming asked with a smile. I heard that you have obtained the Divine Power Source Pearl and awakened your origin secret technique. Is that true? Blue Merchant looked at Lu Ming and said. Of course it's true. With my talent, isn't it normal for me to achieve this? Lu Ming said shamelessly. Ha ha ha, that's perfectly normal. Show me your primary secret art. Blue Merchant said. All right. Lu Ming nodded and then circulated his sovereign divine power. An ancient stone door appeared above his head, emitting an ancient aura. The Sovereign's Gate, the Sovereign's Gate. Ha ha ha, amazing, amazing. A 7th level heavenly god who has awakened the Sovereign's Gate without any external help. Your talent is even better than Jing Yu's. Blue Merchant laughed, his face full of joy. The higher Lu Ming's talent was, the happier he would be. You flatter me, you flatter me. Although Lu Ming was humble, he could not hide the pride on his face. He felt that it was a pity. If that stubborn girl Lan Ling saw this, he wondered what kind of expression she would have. Although you have awakened your origin secret technique, you have mastered many kinds of divine powers. The Divine Power Source Pearl is still very useful to you. You can use it to awaken other origin secret techniques. Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming nodded, but he had other plans in mind. With his cultivation, it was already difficult for him to control one origin secret technique. It would be useless if he could not use more origin secret techniques. He planned to give the divine power source pearl to Autumn Moon so that she could awaken her origin secret technique. By the way, I'm here to talk to you about the Taishu Imperial Family's Sacred Institute. Blue Merchant said. The Taishu Imperial Family's Sacred Institute. Lu Ming muttered in a low voice. Blue Merchant had mentioned it to him before, and the 9 Extinction Heavenly King had mentioned it. Now that Blue Merchant mentioned it again, it showed how much importance he attached to the Taishu Imperial Family's Sacred Institute. Chapter 3148. Is the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute really that important? Lu Ming asked curiously. Very important. Blue Merchant nodded solemnly. More than 90% of the important figures of the Taishu dynasty have cultivated in the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute. Jingyu and I are no exception. Especially for you, it's even more important. Even more important for me? Lu Ming was even more puzzled. That's right. First, there's the problem of cultivation. You control many divine-grade divine powers. You should be able to feel it by now. Is it difficult and requires a lot of energy to cultivate? Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming nodded. He could empathize with Jingjiu on this point. Ordinary people would have to spend their entire life to cultivate one type of divine power. They would need to comprehend the origin divine power factor and the origin secret technique. Moreover, he now controlled 8 types of divine-grade divine powers and 2 other types of divine powers. The difficulty of cultivation was even higher. Under Blue Merchant's guidance and his own amazing talent, he had only awakened the origin divine power factor of the sovereign divine power and the imperishable sword force. Moreover, he had only awakened it once. There was still a long way to go before he could awaken the origin divine power factor of the other divine-grade divine powers. This made Lu Ming feel a little helpless. If he gave up on the other types of divine powers and focused on 1 or 2, then the advantage of the universe myriad Dao technique would not be able to be fully utilized. Could it be that there was something in the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute that could help him cultivate divine powers? As expected, Blue Merchant said, the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute has a cultivation holy land that can greatly help in comprehending divine powers and origin divine power factor. It can even increase the chances of awakening the origin secret technique. There's such a place? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. No wonder all the geniuses of the Taishu dynasty racked their brains to enter the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute. It turned out that there was such a cultivation holy land in the Taishu Imperial Sacred Institute. The myriad deity cliff in Xingyue ancient city had a similar function. However, it would only be activated once in a very long period of time. Each time, one could only cultivate for 3 years. The duration was too short and the help it provided was very limited. Moreover, it would only be of great help to those who had not awakened their origin divine power factor. After awakening it once, the effects would be very weak. However, the sacred cultivation ground of the Great Void Imperial Sacred Academy would not be so weak. Moreover, this was only one of the cultivation grounds of the Taishu Imperial Academy. There were many other mysterious places. The other is the problem of future development. Blue Merchant continued to explain, if you develop well in the Great Void Imperial Sacred Academy, you can even establish your own family, occupy your own territory, and establish your own power. Establishing a family? Lu Ming's heart trembled. That's right. There are currently 27 Heavenly King palaces in the Taishu dynasty. Do you think that they have existed since the Taishu dynasty was established? That's not the case. Some of them were conferred when the dynasty was established. Some of them were established by establishing their own families, and then slowly grew stronger until they were successfully promoted to Heavenly King palaces. For example, the 9 Sabres Heavenly King Palace and the 9 Ju Heavenly King Palace were established by the 9 Sabres Heavenly King and the 9 Sabres Heavenly King respectively. They were promoted to Heavenly King palaces step by step. Blue Merchant said. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He did not expect the 9 Sabres Heavenly King Palace and the 9 Sabres Heavenly King Palace to be established by the 9 Sabres Heavenly King and the 9 Sabres Heavenly King. He had always thought that they were conferred when the Taishu dynasty was established. For example, the 9 Serenities Heavenly King Palace was conferred when the Taishu dynasty was established. It evolved from the original 9 Serenities sect. Therefore, the 9 Serenities Heavenly King Palace and the 9 Sabres Heavenly King Palace are considered weak among the 27 Heavenly King Palaces. After all, their foundation is too shallow. In addition, there are also forces that establish their own families. They occupy a territory and develop their forces. Although they are not as strong as the 27 Heavenly King Palaces, their strength is still very strong. As long as they accumulate enough strength, it is possible for them to become the 28th Heavenly King Palace, or even the 29th Heavenly King Palace. And if you want to establish your own family, in addition to great merits, there is another opportunity. That is, when the Taishu Imperial Sacred Court is held, countless geniuses will gather, and the Sacred Emperor will come in person. As long as you are in the top 10 when the Taishu Imperial Sacred Court is held, you will be qualified to establish your own family. And if you want to reverse the verdict for Jingyu, not only do you have to find out the truth of what happened back then, but you also have to be strong and have enough foundation. Only then can you reverse the verdict for Jingyu. So, my request for you is to be in the top 10 when the Taishu Imperial Sacred Court is held this time. Then, you will be qualified to establish your own family. Then, use this as a foundation to strengthen your forces. Only when your forces are strong enough, or even become the new Heavenly King Palace, will the chances of you reversing the verdict for Jingyu increase. Blue Merchant said a lot in one breath. Are the top 10 of the Taishu dynasty qualified to establish their own families? Lu Ming whispered. Then, he nodded solemnly and said, Uncle Lan Shu, don't worry. I will definitely be in the top 10. Don't be careless. It's not that easy to be in the top 10. With your current strength, it's impossible. You should know that only the 9-Blade Heavenly King Palace and the 9-Ju Heavenly King Palace and those who are below the first layer of the Divine King realm will participate in this competition. The 2 Heavenly King Palaces have geniuses who are above the first layer of the Divine King realm. Moreover, among the 27 Heavenly King Palaces, the 9-Blade Heavenly King Palace and the 9-Ju Heavenly King Palace are the weakest. The other Heavenly King Palaces are more powerful and have more geniuses. Other than the 27 Heavenly King Palaces, there are many forces that have not reached the level of a Heavenly King Palace. For example, the Marquis Palace and the General's Palace have many geniuses too. The most important thing is the Taishu dynasty itself. The Taishu dynasty occupies a vast and rich territory. It's the core of the Taishu dynasty. There are many geniuses there. The number of geniuses there is more than the 27 Heavenly King Palaces, the Marquis Palace and the General's Palace combined. Now, you know how difficult it is to be in the top 10. Blue Merchant said solemnly. Lu Ming frowned. After listening to what Blue Merchant said, it was indeed difficult to be in the top 10. There are still 200 years left. During this time, you should cultivate harder. With your talent, you might have a chance. Once you're in the top 10, you'll be able to enter the Taishu Imperial family's holy courtyard and receive more resources. You'll also be qualified to establish your own family. This is very important for your future development. Blue Merchant said. I understand. Lu Ming nodded solemnly with a determined look in his eyes. He had to be in the top 10. Alright, that's all I have to say to you. Next, do you have any questions for me? Ask away. Blue Merchant smiled and the atmosphere relaxed. Lu Ming naturally had questions. Immediately, Lu Ming asked Blue Merchant about the cultivation comprehension of the Gate of Domination. Chapter 31-49. Lu Ming stayed at Lan Shang's place, wholeheartedly seeking guidance from the Gate of Domination. His understanding of the Gate of Domination improved rapidly, and so did his usage of the Gate of Domination. As his understanding of the Gate of Dominion deepened, not only did its power increase, but the amount of godly power he needed to use it also decreased. Moreover, as he comprehended the Gate of Dominion, Lu Ming's understanding of the sovereign's godly power also deepened. Lu Ming's sovereign's godly power had already been cultivated to the limit of the first awakening. Now, Lu Ming felt that he was getting closer and closer to the second awakening. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been cultivating in Blue Merchant's place for half a month. On this day, while Lu Ming was cultivating, a powerful aura suddenly came from behind Blue Merchant's place. The aura spread, containing the might of a godly king. Someone was breaking through to the godly king realm. Lu Ming's heart thumped, and he instantly understood. It's Ling breaking through to the godly king realm. That girl finally succeeded after a period of seclusion. A smile appeared on Blue Merchant's face. So it's Lan Ling breaking through. Lu Ming's heart thumped. Come, let's go take a look. Blue Merchant said, and then headed to the back of the villa. Lu Ming followed behind. Behind Blue Merchant's place was a purple bamboo forest. At this moment, Lan Ling was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the bamboo forest, surrounded by godly light. Her beauty was indescribable. Her body constantly emitted powerful ripples, causing the surrounding bamboo to bend. However, this kind of bamboo was very tough, and didn't break. As time passed, Lan Ling's aura grew stronger, especially her dantian, which was emitting resplendent light. Lu Ming seemed to see a star core in her dantian. Yes, at this moment, Lan Ling's godly flame had completely transformed into a star core. This meant that Lan Ling was close to breaking through. Hoo! Suddenly, Lan Ling's body exploded with a strong suction force. The divine qi of heaven and earth frantically gathered towards Lan Ling's body. Luckily, the divine qi on the starry sky camp star peak was so dense that it could not be dispersed. There was no need to worry about the lack of divine qi. Large amounts of divine qi were absorbed by Lan Ling and converted into divine power. About half a day later, Lan Ling let out a delicate shout. Her figure soared into the sky and stood on top of a purple bamboo. She looked like a fairy. She had successfully broken through to the God King realm and had completely stabilized her cultivation. Ling, congratulations. Blue Merchant smiled. To the cultivators of the primitive universe, becoming a godly monarch was a hurdle. The empty God realm, the true God realm, and the divine realm were the process of condensing and strengthening the divine flame. It could be said that it was the foundation of the cultivation of the divine realm. In the boundless great thousand world, it was the lowest level of existence. As for the divine king realm, condensing the star core was equivalent to grasping the key to becoming a stronger expert. In the entire divine realm, this was already considered as a higher level of cultivation. In the primitive universe, various races and countless existences were trapped in the heavenly God realm, unable to break through. Only 1 in 10,000 could break through to the divine king realm. Once one crossed over to the divine king realm, it would be another level. Blue Merchant was naturally happy. Thank you, Father. Lan Ling's clear voice resounded. Then, her eyes fell on Lu Ming. She revealed a cold and arrogant look and said, Lu Ming, so you're here too. Very well, it's time to settle the score. I've said before that I won't let you off after I reach the Divine King realm. Having said that, Lan Ling's body emitted a powerful aura. An ancient aura filled the air and pressed down on Lu Ming. Blue Merchant was just about to speak but was interrupted by Lan Ling. Father, don't plead for him. It's useless no matter who pleads for him today. I must return the humiliation that he gave me. Lan Ling said. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth when she recalled how Lu Ming had slapped her in certain areas. That's not what I meant. Blue Merchant felt helpless. He knew that Lu Ming had defeated all the geniuses of the 9 Sabers Heavenly King Mansion and the 9 Extinction Heavenly King Mansion. Even if Lan Ling had broken through to the Divine King realm, she was still no match for Lu Ming. He wanted to persuade Lan Ling not to fight with Lu Ming. Unfortunately, he was interrupted by Lan Ling again. Father, don't say any more. I won't listen. Lan Ling said stubbornly. Lu Ming wore an inexplicable smile and said, Uncle Lan Shu, don't interfere. Let Lady Ling fight. Otherwise, she won't be appeased. Blue Merchant looked at the naughty smile on Lu Ming's face and couldn't help but mourn for Lan Ling. However, as a father, he was really irresponsible. He thought about it again. Fighting was a form of love. Perhaps Lu Ming and Lan Ling would develop feelings for each other after fighting? Therefore, he showed a helpless expression and sighed, forget it. You young people can do whatever you want. I can't control you. I'll take my leave first. After saying that, Blue Merchant's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming was stunned when Blue Merchant left so quickly. This kind of father is really unreliable. Lu Ming despised him in his heart. Humph, Lu Ming, there's no one here now. Make your move. I'll give you 3 moves. The aura on Lan Ling's body became stronger and stronger, enveloping Lu Ming. Breaking through to the Divine King realm, coupled with her awakened origin divine power, caused her strength to skyrocket many times. Although the strength Lu Ming displayed back then was strong, she had full confidence in suppressing Lu Ming. Today, I'll make you beg for mercy. Lan Ling muttered silently in her heart. Giving me 3 moves, are you serious? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Make your move. Otherwise, you won't have the chance to make your move. Lan Ling's face was cold and arrogant. She was very confident. Alright, since you have such a strong request, then I won't be polite. Take this. Lu Ming shouted softly. Sovereign divine power surged, and then the Sovereign's Gate appeared. As soon as Lu Ming struck, he used his most powerful move, Gate of Domination. Boom! The Sovereign's Gate shook and suppressed Lan Ling directly. As soon as the Ruler's Gate appeared, a terrifying fluctuation swept towards Lan Ling in an overwhelming manner. You're using an origin secret technique? Lan Ling had followed Blue Merchant for many years, so she was very knowledgeable. The moment she saw the Sovereign's Gate, she recognized it as an origin secret technique. She couldn't believe her eyes. Lu Ming was only at the Heavenly God realm, but he had already awakened an origin secret technique. At this moment, she finally understood what the Blue Merchant's and Lu Ming's expressions meant. But it was too late. She used all her strength and pushed her strength to the limit, wanting to block the attack of the Sovereign's Gate. However, Lu Ming could even defeat Yuan Yu with the Sovereign's Gate. Lan Ling's origin divine power had only awakened once, so there was a huge gap between her and Yuan Yu, let alone Lu Ming. Boom! Under the suppression of the Sovereign's Gate, all of Lan Ling's attacks and defenses couldn't withstand a single blow and were instantly destroyed. Chapter 3150. Lu Ming destroyed Lan Ling's attack and defense with the Gate of Domination. A powerful force fell on Lan Ling's body. Of course, Lu Ming controlled the power of the Gate of Domination and did not suppress it with full force. The power of the Gate of Domination only caused Lan Ling to feel numb all over. She could not exert any strength and fell to the ground. Swoosh! Lu Ming cast the Nine Heavens Kuan Peng technique. In a flash, he held Lan Ling in his hands. "What are you doing? Let me go!" Lan Ling cried out. Her eyes were filled with fear. Tears welled up in her eyes. She was on the verge of tears. She really wanted to cry. She had finally broken through to the Divine King realm and her strength had increased greatly. She thought she could finally suppress Lu Ming and take revenge. She had never thought that Lu Ming would awaken the secret art of origin. His strength had increased tremendously. She couldn't withstand a single blow. She felt wronged and helpless. She wanted to cry. Could Lu Ming really suppress her? "What am I doing? Of course I'm teaching you a lesson." Lu Ming curled his lips and then slapped Lan Ling on a certain part of her body. "Pa!" A crisp sound echoed throughout the purple bamboo forest. In an instant, Lan Ling's face and neck turned red. Her eyes were filled with shame and anger. Dad, this pervert is bullying your daughter. Come and help me, Dad," Lan Ling shouted and wanted to ask Blue Merchant to help her. In the courtyard, Blue Merchant sat cross-legged and murmured, "I'm in seclusion. I can't hear you. I'm in seclusion. I can't hear you." If Lan Ling saw this scene, she would probably vomit blood. In the purple bamboo forest, Lu Ming grinned. "Scream, no one will care about you. Admit defeat and apologize. If you obey me in the future, I'll let you go. Don't even think about it." Lan Ling glared at Lu Ming. "Pa!" Lu Ming's palm slapped down. Lan Ling's delicate body trembled, her face flushed red, and she gritted her teeth without saying a word. Lu Ming slapped her several times, but Lan Ling was still glaring at Lu Ming. Lu Ming was speechless. This girl was really stubborn. That's all for today. Remember, if there's a next time, it won't be this kind of lesson, he. As he spoke, Lu Ming's gaze swept over Lan Ling's body a few times, making Lan Ling's body tense up. Then, he flung Lan Ling away. Lu Ming's body soared into the sky and quickly flew away. His voice rang out, "Uncle Lan Shu, Lu Ming will come and seek guidance another day." As his voice faded, Lu Ming was already far away. Sigh, what is Ling thinking? Lu Ming is so outstanding. Why doesn't she like him? Blue Merchant muttered. In the next moment, Lan Ling rushed over angrily, glaring at Blue Merchant. "Father, why didn't you help me just now?" Lan Ling questioned. "Ling, you know that your father's star core is destroyed. I'm old and my hearing is bad. I can't hear you." Blue Merchant sighed. Lan Ling was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. Although Blue Merchant's star core was destroyed, his soul force was shockingly strong. He could even suppress a peak God King expert. How could he say that he couldn't hear her? Is this still my father? Lan Ling wailed in her heart. She could only leave while trembling. Lu Ming sped all the way back to the courtyard where he lived. However, as soon as he approached his courtyard, he could feel a vast aura in the courtyard. At the same time, the divine aura of the heavens and earth was crazily gathering towards the courtyard. It was like a bottomless pit, devouring the divine aura of the heavens and earth. Breakthrough to the God King realm. Autumn Moon has broken through to the God King realm. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Through the aura, he could easily determine that this aura came from Autumn Moon. Moreover, she was breaking through to the God King realm. Moreover, she was at the final stage. Autumn Moon was almost done with her breakthrough. Outside the other courtyards, there were many people who were watching this scene. All of them were incomparably shocked. Lu Ming couldn't be bothered with these people. He stepped into the courtyard and waited quietly. Lu Ming didn't have to wait for long. In less than half a day, the aura of Autumn Moon quickly retracted. Then, Autumn Moon's door opened and Autumn Moon walked out. Autumn Moon, you've broken through? As soon as Autumn Moon attacked, Lu Ming went up to her. Young master, I've broken through. Autumn Moon replied with a joyful look on her face. She wasn't happy because she had become stronger. She was happy because she could help Lu Ming now that she had become stronger. Amazing! Lu Ming exclaimed from the bottom of his heart. Thinking back, when he brought Autumn Moon from the chaotic galaxy to Kongxian School, Autumn Moon's cultivation was far inferior to his. However, since Autumn Moon had awakened the 9 apertures sacred heart, Autumn Moon's cultivation had improved faster than riding on a space battleship. Especially after she had obtained the inheritance of the Divine Eye, the Lord of Heaven, her cultivation had increased exponentially. Now, Lu Ming was still in the level 7 heavenly god realm while Autumn Moon had already broken through to the god king realm. This speed would really scare people to death if they knew about it. Autumn Moon, I'll give you something good. Lu Ming said and then took out the Divine Power Source Pearl. Lu Ming planned to give the Divine Power Source Pearl to Autumn Moon so that Autumn Moon could awaken the Origin Source secret technique. Young master, what's this? Autumn Moon looked at the Divine Power Source Pearl curiously. This is the Divine Power Source Pearl. It can help people awaken the Origin Source secret technique from the Origin Source Divine Power Factor. Lu Ming explained the function of the Divine Power Source Pearl. It can help people awaken the Origin Source secret technique? Then there's no need. Autumn Moon rolled her eyes and said. No need? Lu Ming was surprised. What did she mean? Because I've already awakened the Origin Source secret technique. Autumn Moon smiled. What? What? Lu Ming was tongue-tied and was about to be stunned. Autumn Moon had awakened the Origin Source secret technique? It couldn't be, right? She had broken through to the Divine King realm and awakened the Origin Source secret technique? Young master, look! After saying that, Autumn Moon activated her sovereign divine power. Her body emitted a purplish gold light. Then, an ancient scimitar appeared above her head. This scimitar looked like it was made of stone. It was engraved with the marks of time, and it was filled with an ancient aura. Origin Source secret technique, it's really the Origin Source secret technique. Lu Ming couldn't help but widen his eyes. He had already awakened the Gate of Domination. There was no way he would be wrong. This was the Origin Source secret technique. Different people with the same type of divine-grade divine power could awaken different secret arts of origin. Those who didn't control the sovereign divine power could awaken the Gate of Domination or other Origin Source secret techniques. My Origin Source secret technique is called the Blade of Domination. Autumn Moon explained. Amazing, amazing, Lu Ming didn't know how to describe his feelings. He had worked so hard and narrowly escaped death to awaken his Origin secret magic in the midst of fierce battles. Autumn Moon had only gone into seclusion. Not only had she broken through to the Divine King realm, but she had also awakened the Origin Source secret technique. Of course, the stronger Autumn Moon was, the happier Lu Ming was. Young master, Autumn Moon can help you now, right? Autumn Moon was also very happy. Of course. Lu Ming nodded. With Autumn Moon's current strength, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to defeat Autumn Moon. He controlled many types of divine powers. Autumn Moon also controlled many types of divine powers. His advantages were the battle formula, the measure formula, and the ancient god body. However, Autumn Moon had the god-killing light. With her cultivation of the first heaven of the Divine King realm and the Blade of Domination, her fighting strength would definitely be terrifying. Chapter 3151. By the way, Autumn Moon, how did you awaken the origin-sourced secret technique so quickly? Lu Ming asked curiously. I don't know either. I inherited the inheritance of the divine I Lord of Heaven. When I broke through to the divine crystal realm, it seemed like the experience of awakening the origin source secret technique would appear in my mind. Then, I naturally awakened it. Autumn Moon said. Lu Ming nodded. Autumn Moon originally had the 9 orifices sacred heart, and her talent was shocking. Coupled with the experience of the divine I Lord of Heaven, it was normal for her to awaken the origin-sourced secret technique. One had to know that the divine I Lord of Heaven was a giant in the heavenly palace. In the entire primitive universe, he was a peak expert, an overlord. This was the benefit of obtaining the inheritance of an unparalleled expert. No one else could compare. Young master, you should keep the divine power source bead. You still have other divine powers that you can use. Autumn Moon said. All right then. You just broke through, so you should consolidate your cultivation. Lu Ming said. The two chatted for a while more before returning to their rooms. Lu Ming returned to his room and played with the divine power source bead in his hand. After pondering for a while, Lu Ming kept the divine power source bead. He didn't plan to use it now. Now, other than the sovereign's divine power, as long as he awakened the origin-sourced secret technique with the undying sword force, he could only awaken the undying sword force's origin-sourced secret technique with the divine power source bead. However, Lu Ming didn't use a sword, but a spear. Awakening the origin source secret technique of the undying sword force wouldn't be of much help to Lu Ming. Lu Ming wanted to use the divine power source bead on the Overlord Spear Force after awakening the origin-sourced secret technique of the Overlord Spear Force. This would give Lu Ming the greatest improvement. Moreover, the Sovereign's Gate was enough for Lu Ming now. His current level of cultivation was still low, but he was already unable to control a single type of Chief Sovereign's Gate. Even if he were to awaken another quintessence technique, he wouldn't have enough divine power to use it. He might as well keep the godly power source bead for later use. Lu Ming continued to cultivate in seclusion. Time passed quickly, and 20 years passed in the blink of an eye. Cultivating like this is too slow. Lu Ming frowned. What he wasn't satisfied with was the increase in his cultivation base. Although the quantifying character formula was constantly refining the stellar core, he had mastered 10 types of divine powers. Even with the constant replenishment of energy from the stellar core, the progress of his cultivation base was still very slow. There's only one way to improve my cultivation base quickly, and that's to find treasures of extreme cold to speed up the refinement of the stellar core. Lu Ming pondered. No matter what, cultivation was the foundation. As long as his cultivation increased, the power of his other divine skills and secret arts would also grow stronger. The day of the Taishu imperial family's sacred institute was getting closer and closer, but his cultivation base was too low. He was only a level 7 heavenly god, which was nothing in the vast Taishu dynasty. He had to increase his cultivation base quickly, and it would be best if he could break through to level 8 or level 9 heavenly god before the sacred institute of the Taishu imperial family opened. I'll go ask Zifeng and the others where I can buy treasures of extreme cold in the Jiuju heavenly king residence. Lu Ming pondered. With that thought, Lu Ming left the starry camp and secretly went to the Wu family. When he arrived at the Wu family, he successfully met with Wu Zifeng. You want to buy treasures of extreme cold? Wu Zifeng frowned and pondered. A moment later, his eyes lit up and he said, Brother Lu, if you want to buy treasures of extreme cold, there's a chance soon. In the Heavenly King district, the large-scale auction that happens once every 10,000 years is about to begin. There might be treasures of extreme cold at the auction. Auction? Lu Ming was startled. That's right. The auction is held by the Jiuju Heavenly King residence once every 10,000 years. When the time comes, there will be all kinds of treasures, including extreme cold treasures. Wu Zifeng said. When will it be held? Lu Ming's interest was piqued. 10 days later, Brother Lu can stay at the Wu family's residence. We'll go together then. Wu Zifeng said. All right. Lu Ming nodded and stayed at the Wu family's residence. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. This time, many people from the Wu family were heading to the Heavenly King district, including some powerful existences. Lu Ming and Wu Zifeng followed the Wu family's experts to the Heavenly King district. The Heavenly King district was still bustling with activity. They strolled around the Heavenly King district, and when the auction began, they headed to the auction. The auction was huge, and it was crowded with people. At a glance, there were at least a few 100,000 people. The Wu family was a big family, so they naturally had a special VIP room. They waited quietly in the VIP room. Soon, the auction officially began. The auctioneer let people take out the treasures one by one. This auction was worthy of being the biggest auction in the Jiuju Heavenly King residence. There were too many treasures. Many treasures made Lu Ming extremely excited. Even if many high-level divine kings participated in the bidding, Lu Ming could only stare at the prices. After half a day, Lu Ming did not buy a single treasure. It was mainly the low-grade treasures that Lu Ming did not care about. As for the high-grade treasures, a bunch of divine kings were competing for them, and he could not intervene. However, the Wu family's experts bought a few good treasures after a few rounds. The next treasure is called the mysterious cold ice lotus seed. It's an extreme cold treasure. Those who want to buy an extreme cold treasure, hurry up and make your move. The auctioneer took out a jade box. After opening the jade box, there were dozens of lotus seeds neatly arranged in it. A total of 36 mysterious cold ice lotus seeds. The starting price is 360,000 high-grade divine crystals. Each bid must not be lower than 20,000 high-grade divine crystals. Let's begin. The auctioneer called out. As soon as the auctioneer's voice fell, someone started to bid. 380,000 high-grade divine crystals. 400,000 high-grade divine crystals. The price rose steadily, and soon, it reached 500,000 high-grade divine crystals. 30 mysterious cold ice lotus seeds. Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and he was extremely excited. He decided to buy it. It would definitely be useful for him to refine the star core of a star. Fortunately, although the mysterious cold ice lotus seed was precious, it was not of much use to high-level divine kings. Hence, there were no high-level divine kings competing for it. It was not impossible for Lu Ming to buy it. During this period of time, he had killed many strong enemies. The number of high-grade divine crystals he had on him was at least a few million. 800,000 high-grade divine crystals. Lu Ming said directly, and pushed the price to 800,000 high-grade divine crystals. The place fell silent. Adding so many high-grade divine crystals in one go showed that Lu Ming was determined to get it. Many people started to hesitate if they should increase the price. 1 million. After a while, someone said. 1,200,000. Lu Ming followed suit and spoke. Then, that person fell silent. The auctioneer asked a few questions, but no one made a bid. The mysterious cold ice lotus seed was successfully bought by Lu Ming for 1,200,000 high-grade divine crystals. Soon, the payment was made. 36 mysterious cold ice lotus seeds fell into Lu Ming's hands. Chapter 3152. After buying 36 mysterious cold ice lotus seeds, Lu Ming had a smile on his face. This trip was not in vain. 36 mysterious cold ice lotus seeds might be able to help him refine a large amount of stellar cores and improve his cultivation. However, some people were discussing in secret. That voice was so familiar. I think I heard it somewhere before. It's Lu Ming. I think it's Lu Ming's voice. It's him. I didn't hear it wrongly. He's a heavenly god, yet he's so rich. Some people were discussing Lu Ming. In the auction, a few young men's eyes flickered. The auction continued. Lu Ming didn't make any moves in the following auction because the prices of many treasures were too high. He couldn't make a move even if he wanted to. He only made a few moves when the auction ended. He bought a few cold attributed treasures, but their quality couldn't be compared to the mysterious cold ice lotus seeds. After the auction ended, everyone left the auction house. Lu Ming still followed the Wu family. He planned to return to the Wu family first before returning to the Starry Sky camp. However, when they were walking on the street, they were blocked by a group of people. Jin family, what are you trying to do? Wu Zifeng said coldly. Blocking in front of them was a group of people wearing golden robes. With one look, one could tell that they were from the Jin family. I'm looking for Lu Ming for something. A young man stepped out from the Jin family. He had a majestic gait and an extraordinary temperament. Looking for me? Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. Brother Jin, you're really fast. At this moment, another group of people came from another direction. The leader was also a young man with an extraordinary temperament. This newcomer had wings on his back. He was from the winged person family. Brother E. The leader of the Jin family smiled. The Jin family and the winged person family blocked in front of the Wu family. This scene attracted the attention of the surrounding people. It's the Jin family and the winged person family. Why are they blocking the Wu family? Are they going to fight? That's Lu Ming. Lu Ming is with the Wu family. Could their target be Lu Ming? Many people secretly discussed. Why are you looking for me? Fight? Sorry, I'm not free. Lu Ming said. I won't fight today, but I'll make a deal with you. The Jin family young man smiled. He stared at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, you've already awakened your origin secret technique, the divine power source bead is useless to you. Why don't you sell it to me? Name your price. Sell it to me, the price is negotiable. After that, the young man from the Wing clan spoke as well. Lu Ming suddenly understood that the other party was coveting the God power source bead. Lu Ming glanced at the young man from the Jin family and the young man from the Wing's family. He could feel that these two young men had powerful auras. Their cultivation bases were probably above the first king god layer. That was why they hadn't participated in the competition for the divine power source bead. The date of the Great Void Imperial Academy's opening was getting closer and closer. Everyone was focused on improving their strength. Awakening their origin secret technique would undoubtedly increase their strength. That was why they were coveting Lu Ming's God power source bead. Since Lu Ming had already awakened his origin secret technique, they concluded that Lu Ming's God power source bead had not been used yet. I'm not selling it. Lu Ming said coldly. You're not selling it? Lu Ming, since you've already awakened your origin secret technique, the God power source bead is useless to you. Why don't you sell it? That's the only way to show its value. The young man from the Jin family said coldly. That's right. The young man from the Wing's family also said coldly. Even if it's worthless, why should I sell it? Also, even if I want to sell it, why should I sell it to the Jin family? The Wing's family? How shameless are you? Are you more shameless than the Nine Sabers' heavenly king? Lu Ming retorted, full of sarcasm. Back then, the Nine Sabers' heavenly king wanted to buy the God power source bead, but Lu Ming refused to sell it. Yet, they wanted to buy it. What a joke. Moreover, the Jin family and the Wing's family had a life-and-death feud with Lu Ming. Why would Lu Ming sell it to them? You, The young man from the Jin family had an ugly expression. Lu Ming, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. The young man from the Wings family said coldly. Why? You still want to force a sale? The Heavenly King said that the God Power Source bead belongs to me now that I've obtained it. Are you going to defy the Heavenly King's order? Lu Ming sneered. The people from the Jin family and the Wings family had ugly expressions. With so many people present, they did not dare to touch Lu Ming. The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King had said that whoever dared to snatch Lu Ming's God Power Source bead would be going against him. In the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence, who would dare to go against the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King? Lu Ming, if you keep the God Power Source bead and don't use it yourself, wouldn't it be a waste? Why don't you give it to the other Skyprides of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence? This way, when the Great Void Imperial Family Holy Court convenes, the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence will be stronger and raise their heads in front of the other Heavenly King residences, getting rid of the title of last place. The young man from the Jin family said loudly. These words made many people around them ponder. As the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence was developed later, they did not have a strong foundation. Among the 27 Heavenly King residences, they had always been the last. The second last was the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence. The Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence had always been suppressed by the other Heavenly King residences. When the Great Void Imperial Family Holy Court was convened, it was actually a competition between the various Heavenly King residences. The more geniuses there were, the stronger they were, and naturally, the more famous they would be. There would also be more experts joining, and the strength of the Heavenly King residence would naturally become stronger. And a divine power source bead could definitely create a terrifying genius. Although Lu Ming had awakened the origin source secret technique, his cultivation was too low. No one thought that Lu Ming would be able to achieve anything on the day of the Great Void Imperial Family Holy Court's opening. However, if the divine power source bead was given to a second-layer divine king realm or even stronger genius, then a terrifying genius would appear. On the day of the Great Void Imperial Family Holy Court's opening, the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence would also be able to hold their heads high. The young man from the Jin family wanted to push Lu Ming out. Even if they couldn't get it, they wanted Lu Ming to sell the divine power source bead to others. If Lu Ming didn't sell it, it meant that he didn't care about the reputation of the Nine Sabers' Heavenly King residence. In this way, they could push Lu Ming to the opposite side of the other aristocratic families, and make the other aristocratic families have a bad impression of Lu Ming. What a vicious scheme. However, would Lu Ming care about this? Get lost. Lu Ming scolded coldly. What? What did you say? The young man from the Jin family was enraged. I told you to get lost. Didn't you hear me? Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming, so you don't want to sell the divine power source bead at all? You're too selfish. You don't care about the reputation of the Heavenly King residence. You're still cultivating in the starry camp. The Heavenly King residence has nurtured you, and this is how you repay them? The young man from the Jin family said loudly, continuing to accuse Lu Ming. On the day of the Great Void Imperial Family Holy Court's opening, I will let the Heavenly King residence rise. We won't be suppressed by the other Heavenly King residences. Lu Ming said indifferently. You? Ha ha ha. You? Who do you think you are? Although you're talented, your cultivation is trash. You're nothing in front of the true geniuses. The young man from the Jin family sneered. Chapter 3153. It's just a wild dog barking. Zifeng, let's go. Lu Ming said indifferently. He then stepped into the air and walked away. He could not be bothered with the people from Jin family and Winged Man family. It was useless to say anything now. He would prove it with his actions when the time came. What, did you say? Damn it! The young man from Jin family roared. His face was extremely gloomy. He wanted to slap Lu Ming to death. However, he did not dare to attack Lu Ming now. If he attacked Lu Ming now, the Nine Extinction Heavenly King would not let him go. No matter how angry he was, he could only watch as Lu Ming left. You can be arrogant now. One day, I'll make sure you die without a burial place. The young men from Jin family and Winged Man family cursed in their hearts. Lu Ming returned to Wu family with Wu Zifeng and the rest before secretly returning to the starry camp. Old Liang, can these mysterious cold ice lotus seeds speed up the refinement of the stellar core? In the room, Lu Ming communicated with measure formula. Don't worry. I can integrate a portion of them. It's enough for you to reach level 8 Heavenly God. Measure formula said. That's good. You can absorb these mysterious cold ice lotus seeds. Lu Ming let measure formula devour the 36 mysterious cold ice lotus seeds. He then focused on comprehending various divine skills and secret skills while waiting for measure formula to refine the energy. With the mysterious cold ice lotus seeds neutralizing the energy of the stellar core, measure formula's refinement speed skyrocketed. In just 3 years, it had refined a large amount of energy. Lu Ming continued to absorb the energy and turned it into his own divine power. He then began to break through to level 8 Heavenly God. After a few days of cultivation, Lu Ming's body exploded with a powerful aura. It was the aura of a level 8 Heavenly God. Lu Ming's cultivation base broke through another level and reached level 8 Heavenly God. The simultaneous breakthrough of 10 types of divine power made Lu Ming's divine power much stronger. Lu Ming had a much easier time using all sorts of divine abilities and secret arts, especially the quintessence secret art, the Sovereign's Gate. As a result, Lu Ming's power increased. Unfortunately, the energy neutralized by the mysterious cold ice lotus seed has been used up. Next, I'll have to rely on myself to slowly cultivate. Lu Ming sighed. Compared to the others, his speed of improvement was already astonishing, but he was still not satisfied. What he wanted to do was too difficult. 180 years later, when the Great Void Imperial Academy was held, he had to enter the top 10. Even if he broke through to the 8th layer Celestial God Realm, he had no hope. Now, he could only do his best and take things one step at a time. Lu Ming closed his eyes and continued to cultivate. At the Blue Merchant's residence, there was an uninvited guest. A young man in luxurious robes with his hands clasped behind his back and an extraordinary aura descended upon Blue Merchant's residence. The young man was not a disciple of the Starry Platoon. Normally, those who were not a disciple of the Starry Platoon would have trouble entering the platoon, but no one stopped him from entering. In the residence, Blue Merchant frowned at the man and said coldly, "What are you doing here?" "Third uncle, how have you been?" The young man said with a smile. "Don't call me third uncle, you've already chased me out of the Lan clan and cut off all ties with me. I'm no longer your third uncle." Blue Merchant said calmly, but his voice was filled with disdain. The young man smiled and said indifferently, "In my heart, you will always be my third uncle. There's no need for such hypocrisy. Tell me, why are you here at the Nine Extinction Heavenly Emperor Palace instead of staying in the Great Illusionary Sacred Capital? I don't believe you're here just to see me." Blue Merchant said coldly. The young man was called Lan Feng and Blue Merchant knew his character well. Lan Feng looked gentle on the surface, but he was cunning and vicious on the inside. "Third uncle is right. I didn't come here just to see you. I came to the Nine Extinction Heavenly King Mansion for 2 matters. One of them is related to Lan Ling." Blue Maple smiled faintly. He did not show any respect to Blue Mountain, his third uncle. "Related to Ling Air? What's the matter?" Blue Merchant's eyes narrowed and he had a bad feeling about this. Third uncle, do you still remember that you brought cousin Lan Ling to the holy capital 300 years ago? Blue Maple paused for a moment before continuing with a smile. Cousin Lan Ling is a national beauty. The moment she arrived at the holy capital, she startled all the young geniuses there. How many people have fallen head over heels for her? Among them, the son of the imperial tutor, Wu Fan, is a peerless genius. All these years, he has never forgotten about cousin Lan Ling. Even the imperial tutor personally went to the Lan family to propose marriage. The Lan family has agreed to betroth cousin Lan Ling to Wu Fan. One of the reasons I'm here is to bring cousin Lan Ling back to the holy capital and marry Wu Fan. Boom! After hearing what Lan Feng had said, a violent aura exploded from Blue Merchant's body. His glabella shone and a terrifying spiritual energy swept towards Lan Feng like a gust of wind, forcing Lan Feng to take a few steps back. You want Lan Ling to marry Wu Fan? Impossible. Blue Merchant's hair stood on end and his eyes were burning with anger. He was like a mad lion. He was indeed furious. Back then, he was Jing Yu's teacher and the peerless genius of the Lan family. He was hailed as the future of the Lan family. However, Jing Yu was framed and died. He was implicated and his star core was destroyed. He was almost a cripple. At the same time, the Lan family announced to the world that they had expelled Lan Shang from the Lan family in order to cut off all ties with him and avoid being implicated. But now, the Lan family had agreed to let Lan Ling marry Wu Fan. Why? Blue Merchant, this is the decision of the Lan family's higher-ups. You have no right to reject it. Lan Feng shouted. No right to reject? Ha ha ha, what a joke. The Lan family had already expelled me. I, Blue Merchant, am no longer a member of the Lan family. What right do you have to decide Lan Ling's life? Blue Merchant laughed. The Lan family expelled you, not Lan Ling. Lan Ling has the blood of the Lan family flowing in her body. The Lan family has the right to decide for her. You have to understand that Wu Fan is the only son of the Grand Tutor. The Grand Tutor is the Crown Prince's teacher. Lan Feng shouted. Blue Merchant sneered. Although the Lan family was a big family in the Great Void sacred capital and had a long history, they were still a distance away from the Grand Tutor. The Grand Tutor was not only powerful, but he was also the Crown Prince's teacher. He had great power. Wu Fan had taken a fancy to Lan Ling. The Lan family wanted to use the marriage between Lan Ling and the Grand Tutor to strengthen the Lan family's power. However, Blue Merchant had already been expelled from the Lan family. The Lan family's actions were shameless. Lan Ling is my daughter. She has nothing to do with the Lan family. She will never marry Wu Fan. Get lost. Blue Merchant's face became colder and colder. Blue Merchant, don't be stubborn, Lan Feng shouted. If you don't get lost, I will have to do it myself. A cold light flashed in Blue Merchant's eyes. His soul power continued to spread and suppressed Lan Feng. Chapter 3154. Although Blue Merchant's star core was destroyed, his soul power was still shockingly strong. Even a peak divine king would be suppressed, let alone Blue Maple. His enormous soul power was as heavy as a mountain and almost forced Blue Maple to kneel down. Blue Merchant, just you wait. Wu Fan won't be able to run away from the woman he has set his eyes on. Blue Maple roared furiously and rushed out of Blue Merchant's courtyard in a sorry state. He flew into the distance with an ugly expression. Blue Maple had not flown far when he saw a young man flying towards him. He was obviously flying towards Blue Merchant's courtyard. This young man was Lu Ming. Lu Ming had been cultivating for a while and felt that he had encountered a problem. Hence, he came here to seek advice from Blue Merchant and coincidentally bumped into Blue Maple. Seeing Lu Ming flying towards Blue Merchant's courtyard, Blue Maple glanced at Lu Ming coldly and killing intent flashed in his eyes. However, he did not make a move in the end. He passed by Lu Ming and flew into the distance. Who is this guy? I have never seen him before. This is the first time I have seen him and he actually showed killing intent towards me. He must be crazy. Lu Ming muttered and flew into Blue Merchant's courtyard. He saw Blue Mountain standing there with a gloomy expression. He was frowning and looked as if he had a lot on his mind. Uncle Lan Shu, what happened? Is it related to the young man I met just now? Lu Ming asked curiously. You met him just now? Blue Merchant asked. Yes, he even showed killing intent towards me. Lu Ming said. This person is indeed narrow-minded. He showed killing intent towards me and even towards people related to me. Blue Merchant said with a gloomy expression. After muttering to himself for a while, Blue Merchant continued, this person is called Blue Maple and he is from Great Void Sacred Capital's Lan family. Surnamed Lan? Lan family? Lu Ming's expression changed. You guessed right. This person is from the same family as me. However, he is no longer related to me, Blue Merchant sighed softly. He didn't hide anything and simply explained the situation. He told him everything about how he had been chased out of the Lan family and how the Lan family was going to marry Lan Ling to Wu Fan to form an alliance through marriage. How shameless. After hearing this, Lu Ming was also furious. He didn't feel uncomfortable because Lan Ling was going to marry Wu Fan. He actually wanted Lan Ling to marry someone else. He was just feeling indignant on behalf of Blue Merchant. After so many years of interaction, he had already silently regarded Blue Merchant as his teacher. Blue Maple is a very narrow-minded person. You should be careful when you're with Ling. If he finds out, it won't be good for you. Blue Merchant warned seriously. Lu Ming wailed. When am I going to get along with Lan Ling? Lu Ming was speechless. He wouldn't have a love rival for no reason, would he? That would be unfair. Forget it. Let's not talk about this first. Why are you looking for me? Blue Merchant changed the topic. Lu Ming immediately asked about his cultivation problems, and Blue Merchant began to guide him. After Lu Ming was enlightened, he returned to his residence to cultivate. In an elegant courtyard in the Heavenly King district, it was bustling with noise and excitement. There was a banquet being held here. The main character of the banquet was Blue Maple. Blue Maple was the prodigy of the Lan family in the Great Void Sacred Capital. His status was completely incomparable to the great families in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. Naturally, there would be a bunch of young prodigies trying to curry favor with him. For example, the Jin family, the Qin family, the Winged Person family, the Sun family, and so on. This time, it was the prodigies of these families who invited Blue Maple. Blue Maple sat on the main seat, and the prodigies of the various great worlds sat on both sides. Brother Blue, your presence brings light to my humble dwelling. Come, let me propose a toast to Brother Basket. A prodigy of the Jin family raised his wine cup and drank it in one gulp. You're welcome. Blue Maple replied casually and raised his wine cup to take a sip. There was a hint of disdain in the depths of his eyes. He couldn't be bothered with these so-called prodigies of the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. In addition, he wasn't in a good mood because of Blue Merchant. Seeing that Blue Maple's attitude wasn't very enthusiastic, the crowd chatted casually. Oh yes, Brother Basket, are you here for the Divine Power Source Pearl? The prodigy of the Jin family suddenly spoke. Divine Power Source Pearl? Blue Maple was surprised. His eyes flashed as he said, could it be that the Divine Power Source Pearl appeared in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence? Brother Basket, you don't know? The prodigy of the Jin family purposely asked. He also knew that Blue Maple most likely didn't know about the divine power source pearl appearing in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. He purposely asked just now, so naturally, he had his own plans. Could it be that the divine power source pearl really appeared? Tell me, what's going on? Blue Maple was suddenly energized. Brother Basket, the divine power source pearl did appear. Moreover, it's in the hands of a youth in the starry camp. The prodigy of the Gene family said. Who has it? Could it be that this person has obtained the divine power source pearl and has yet to refine it? Blue Merchant asked anxiously. The divine power source pearl was something that one could only come across by chance. Even in the great illusionary saint capital, it rarely appeared. He didn't expect to hear about the divine power source pearl when he came to the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. His eyes were burning with passion. He definitely hasn't refined it. That youth is called Lu Ming and he's cultivating in the starry camp. The youth from the Gene family said confidently. That's right. The divine power source pearl must still be in the hands of Lu Ming. If Brother Basket wants it, you can snatch it away. A prodigy of the Winged Man family said. Snatch it away? Who do you think I am? Blue Maple's face darkened. I'm sorry. I said the wrong thing. Brother Blue, please don't take it to heart. The prodigy of the Winged Man family was shocked and quickly apologized. Blue Maple nodded and said, since that person called Lu Ming hasn't refined the divine power source pearl, he probably hasn't awakened his origin divine power factor. Hence, he can't use it. Let's buy the divine power source pearl. Blue 9, make a trip to the starry camp and find Lu Ming. Ask him to come and see me. Blue Maple instructed one of his subordinates. Yes. Young master. A youth in blue stepped out and bowed to Blue Maple. Then, he turned into a ray of light and left. The eyes of the youth from the Gene family and the prodigy of the Winged Man family flickered. They didn't say anything and didn't remind Blue Maple. Not only had Lu Ming awakened his origin divine power factor, he had also awakened his origin secret technique. They wanted Lu Ming to become enemies with Blue Maple so that they could kill him with a borrowed knife. If they reminded Blue Maple, it wouldn't be easy to borrow the knife. In Lu Ming's residence, he was comprehending the sovereign's divine power. As he cultivated, his comprehension of the sovereign's divine power had deepened. He had a feeling that he wasn't far away from the second awakening. However, it wasn't that easy to awaken the sovereign's divine power a second awakening. He still needed some luck. Suddenly, Lu Ming opened his eyes. He had sensed an aura looming over his residence. Furthermore, the aura was brazen and malicious. Lu Ming frowned and walked out of his room. Autumn Moon also sensed the aura. She ended her cultivation and walked out of her room. The two exchanged glances and walked out of the residence. Outside the residence, a young man in blue robes stood in the air with his hands behind his back. He was looking down at Lu Ming with a lofty expression. He was Blue Maple's subordinate, Blue 9. Chapter 3155. Lan Jiao stood in the sky with his hands behind his back. He looked down at Lu Ming and said coldly, "You're Lu Ming?" "That's right." "Why are you looking for me?" Lu Ming said. "My young master is looking for you. Come with me." Lan Jiao ordered and turned to leave. It was as if Lu Ming would follow him if he said so. However, Lu Ming stood there without moving and looked at Lan Jiao as if he was looking at a fool. Lan Jiao also noticed that Lu Ming did not move. He stopped and turned around. He frowned and said, "Why aren't you coming with me? Who are you? Are we close?" Lu Ming pursed his lips and was speechless. This guy was too confident. "Oh, indeed, I haven't introduced myself." Lan Jiao smiled faintly and said, my young master is the young master of the Lan family in the Great Void Sacred City. Lan Feng, the Lan family in the Great Void Sacred City is not something your 9 Extinction Heavenly King residents can compare to. Do you understand? My young master is looking for you. Come with me. After saying that, Lan Jiao turned around again. He then realized that Lu Ming still did not move. Why aren't you leaving? Lan Jiao's face turned cold. So, it's that Lan Feng. Why is he looking for me? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Lan family? I've never heard of it. Your young master is looking for me. Ask him to come and visit me. I won't see you off. Lu Ming waved his sleeve and asked him to leave. What? Asking my young master to visit you? Kid, you're so arrogant. Who do you think you are? Lan Jiao's face changed drastically and he roared. Get lost. Lu Ming shouted coldly. Ever since Lan Shang had told him about the Lan family, he already had a bad impression of the Lan family. Now that Lan Feng had actually told a servant to act all high and mighty in front of him, it would be strange if he had a good expression on his face. You're courting death. If you don't go, I'll break your legs and bring you to my young master. Lan Jiao roared. Then, his palms slashed out like blades. 2 beams of divine light slashed towards Lu Ming's legs. This Lan Jiao had the cultivation base of the first sky of King God realm. He was confident that this move could break Lu Ming's legs. You're really asking for it. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He didn't want to pay any attention to the other party, but since the other party wanted to court death, there was nothing he could do. His divine power condensed into a long spear. The long spear shook, and 2 spear lights burst out, crushing the divine light slashed by Lan Jiao. Then, Lu Ming took a step forward and instantly approached Lan Jiao. His spear light was like a mountain as it bombarded down. Lan Jiao turned pale with fright. He never thought that Lu Ming, who was only in the 8th level of the Heaven God realm, would be so strong. With a loud roar, a blue sword light rushed out from his body and slashed towards Lu Ming. However, although Lan Jiao had divine-grade divine power, he hadn't awakened the divine origin factor. The difference between him and Lu Ming was too big. At this moment, Lu Ming had activated the battle character Secret Art. His spear light was as heavy as a mountain. It crushed down and bombarded the blue sword light. Boom! The sword light shook violently and then collapsed. The spear light hit Lan Jiao. Lan Jiao screamed and vomited blood. His body fell to the ground like a cannonball. Lu Ming took a step forward and stomped on one of Lan Jiao's legs. Crack! Ah! The sound of bones breaking and Lan Jiao's scream spread far and wide. Lu Ming crippled someone again. Now, who dares to provoke the devil Lu Ming? You're courting death. The people in the other courtyards were alarmed. They all came out to watch. Seeing someone being tortured by Lu Ming, they gloated. Get lost. Lu Ming kicked Lan Jiao again. Lan Jiao's body flew out like a rubber ball. Autumn Moon, let's go in. Lu Ming smiled and walked into the courtyard with Autumn Moon. On the table in the courtyard, he brewed a pot of tea and slowly drank with Autumn Moon. He knew very well that someone else would be coming soon. In the Heavenly Monarch District, Lan Feng and the other Heavenly Prides were drinking wine while waiting. Suddenly, a figure flew over from afar. It was Lan Jiao. At this moment, Lan Jiao was in a sorry state. His clothes were tattered, his hair was disheveled, and his aura was weak. Lan Jiao? What happened? Seeing Lan Jiao in such a state, Lan Feng roared. A cold aura burst out from his body. In a mere 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence, someone dared to beat up his subordinate. Even the 9 Extinction Heavenly King had to give him face. Young master, you must seek justice for me. It's that Lu Ming. That Lu Ming beat me up. Lan Xiao cried out miserably. Lu Ming? How dare he? Lan Feng shouted angrily. Yes, that Lu Ming is audacious. I have already reported young master's name and the Lan family's name, but he didn't take it seriously at all. He even said that if young master wants to see him, he should visit him personally. How arrogant! Lan Xiao cried. He, I really didn't expect there to be such a hothead in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. Lan Feng sneered. His face was extremely cold, and his eyes were as cold as a knife. A junior in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence actually asked him to visit him personally? He was so angry that he laughed. As expected. The Jin family and the Winged Man family's heavenly pride smiled. They were overjoyed. They knew Lu Ming's temper very well, so they didn't remind Lan Feng of Lu Ming's strength. They wanted to intensify the conflict between Lu Ming and Lan Feng. Brother Lan, this Lu Ming has always been lawless and audacious. The Jin family's heavenly pride said. Humph, audacious? In front of me, Lan Feng, no matter how audacious he has to shrink back. Didn't he ask me to visit him personally? Then I shall make a trip there. Lan Feng said coldly. He suddenly stood up and stepped into the air. As soon as Lan Feng moved, the subordinates that he brought naturally followed behind him. Let's go and take a look too. The Jin family's heavenly prides and the Winged Man family's heavenly pride smirked. They followed Lan Feng and headed towards the Starry Camp. When the Starry Camp's guardian elder saw Lan Feng, he didn't dare to stop them and let them in. Soon, they arrived outside Lu Ming's courtyard. A powerful aura pressed down on Lu Ming's courtyard. They're here. In the courtyard, Lu Ming muttered. He slowly picked up a cup of tea and took a sip. Let's go and meet them. Lu Ming smiled, got up, and walked out. Xiao Yu followed closely behind. There are so many people. Lu Ming glanced around and muttered. When his gaze swept across the Jin family's heavenly prides and the Winged Man family's heavenly prides, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Lan Feng's sudden visit probably had something to do with the Jin family, the Winged Man family and the Qin family. It's you. Lan Feng also recognized Lu Ming. You are Lu Ming? Lan Feng looked coldly at Lu Ming and asked. That's right. Why are you looking for me? Lu Ming said plainly. Did you injure one of my men? Lan Feng asked. What does it have to do with me if you're looking for a beating? Lu Ming replied with a cold smile. Chapter 3156. Lu Ming's attitude caused Lu Maple's killing intent to soar. Someone dared to speak to him in such a manner in the 9 Extinction Heavenly King residence. Moreover, it was a young man. However, he was good at scheming. His killing intent soared and his expression remained unchanged. I didn't expect an 8th-level heavenly god like you to defeat a divine king subordinate like me. What a rare sight. Lu Maple smiled faintly. His cultivation was high and Lu Ming did not deliberately conceal his cultivation. Hence, he could naturally see through Lu Ming's cultivation realm. After saying that, Lu Maple glanced at Lan Xiao coldly. Lan Xiao was actually defeated by an 8th-level heavenly god. This made him very unhappy. Lan Xiao shuddered and his face turned pale. A chill ran down his spine. It's just so. Your subordinate is useless. Lu Ming said casually. I heard that you have a divine power source pearl. Is that true? Lu Maple's tone suddenly changed. So, you're here for the divine power source pearl. Humph, it's indeed the Jin family in Winged Man family. Are they trying to kill me with a borrowed knife? Lu Ming immediately guessed what had happened. It must be the Gene family and Winged Man family who told Lu Maple about it. Otherwise, how would Lu Maple know that he had the divine power source pearl? So what? Lu Ming said. I really do have it. Lu Maple's eyes were extremely bright and flashed with a blazing radiance. He had yet to awaken the origin-sourced secret technique. If he had the divine power source pearl, he would definitely be able to awaken the origin-sourced secret technique. With his original strength and the origin-source secret technique, he was confident that he would be able to enter the top 10 on the day of the Great Void Imperial Family's Holy Court and obtain the qualification to establish his own family. He must get the divine power source pearl. Good, very good. Name a price. I'll buy the divine power source pearl. Lu Maple said. Not selling. Lu Ming rejected him directly. Not selling. You better think about it carefully. The price is negotiable. Also, if you sell the divine power source pearl to me, I'll write off the matter of you injuring my subordinate. Lu Maple said indifferently. However, even a fool could hear the threat in his tone. Not selling, don't you understand? Also, I want to cultivate. Don't disturb me here. Lu Ming waved his hand. How dare you? Brat, who do you think you are? The young master is giving you face by buying your stuff. Don't be so shameless. One of Blue Maple's subordinates stepped forward and shouted. A violent aura surged towards Lu Ming. This was also a young man, but his aura was violent and filled with an ancient and desolate aura. He was a genius who had awakened the god power origin. His cultivation base was at the first king god realm. The geniuses of the Gene clan and the Winged clan all revealed shocked expressions. One of Blue Maple's subordinates was actually so talented. The great aristocratic families of the Taishu holy capital indeed had deep and unfathomable foundations. What? You want to fight? Lu Ming said indifferently. Since you don't want face, I can only beat you down and take it myself. Blue Maple's subordinate said coldly. Blue 6, do it. Break his legs and take his storage ring. Blue Maple instructed. He was finally impatient and couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Lu Ming. He wanted to attack directly. Don't worry, young master. Blue 6 accepted the order and then walked towards Lu Ming with a sinister smile. The geniuses of the Gene clan, the Winged clan, and the Qin clan looked at each other and still didn't warn Blue Maple. They knew that Lu Ming's combat strength was extremely terrifying. Even Yuan Yu wasn't a match for him, so Blue 6 definitely wouldn't be a match for him. However, they deliberately didn't warn him and let Blue Maple fight with Lu Ming. In this way, Lu Ming would offend Blue Maple. If he offended Blue Maple, Lu Ming would die. Young master, let me do it. At the side, Autumn Moon spoke and wanted to make a move. How can I let you deal with a few Tom, Dick, and Harry? Autumn Moon, watch from the side. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward, releasing the aura of an 8th-level heavenly god. You're courting death. Blue 6 shouted coldly. Lu Ming actually said that he was a Tom, Dick, and Harry. He was courting death. Boom. Blue 6's aura was released completely and it was extremely shocking. Swoosh. Then, a blue sword light burst out from Blue 6's hand and blasted towards Lu Ming. Divine Dragon Image. Lu Ming punched out with both fists and 9-clawed dragons appeared in the sky. There were a total of 29 clawed dragons and they pounced towards Blue 6. At the same time, Lu Ming's body expanded rapidly and turned into a green-armored ancient god. His long spear was like a mountain and pressed towards Blue 6. Ancient god body, green-armored ancient god body, this kid, Blue Maple was shocked when he saw Lu Ming display the green-armored ancient god body. Never mind that Lu Ming had cultivated the ancient god body. Unexpectedly, Lu Ming had cultivated the green-armored ancient god. This was extremely rare even in the Taishu sacred capital. No wonder he could defeat Lan Jiao with his cultivation of level 8 heavenly god realm. Blue Maple thought. He thought that Lu Ming had turned into a green-armored ancient god to defeat Lan Jiao. He didn't expect that Lu Ming had defeated Lan Jiao without turning into a green-armored ancient god. The blue sword light slashed the 9-clawed dragon and there was a loud explosion. Blue 6 was strong. He was in level 1 Divine King realm and he had awakened the origin divine power factor. His combat strength was very strong and the 9-clawed dragon was defeated one by one. However, when Lu Ming's long spear pressed down, he couldn't withstand it anymore. The sword light exploded and he was forced to retreat. Sword Principle Coalescence. Blue 6 roared when he saw that he was pushed back by Lu Ming. His sword light flashed as he displayed a terrifying secret skill. Countless sword shadows burst out as if they were going to tear the sky apart and slash towards Lu Ming. Moon slashing. Lu Ming murmured. He waved his long spear and a crescent-shaped spear light slashed out. Blue 6's sword light shattered wherever the spear light passed. He was pushed back and coughed up blood. To be honest, Blue 6's combat strength was very strong. He might even be stronger than Jin Xiang. However, Lu Ming could suppress Jin Xiang without using the ruler's gate when he was in level 7 heavenly god realm. Now that he had broken through to level 8 heavenly god realm, it wouldn't be too difficult for him to defeat Blue 6. This kid is so strong. How can he be so strong? At this moment, Blue Maple was also astonished. He came from Taishu sacred capital and he had seen many talented and abnormal people. However, he had never seen anyone as strong as Lu Ming. This kid must have some secrets. I must get them. Blue Maple's eyes were filled with greed. Ah, I'm going to kill you. Blue 6 was pushed back again and he was injured. He was completely enraged. He let out a roar and his body expanded rapidly. Then, he turned into a huge ancient god. Ancient god body. Lu Ming was shocked. He didn't expect Blue 6 to have cultivated the ancient god body. However, Blue 6's ancient god body was only a yellow-armored ancient god. It was golden like a golden statue. It was 2 levels lower than Lu Ming's green-armored ancient god body. However, Blue 6's strength had increased tremendously when he used the yellow-armored ancient god body. Bang! His huge body stepped into the air and he charged towards Lu Ming with a huge sword in his hand. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.